Let's get it, 580 Sports Talk, live and direct on a Friday. We have made it to the end of the week. Your reward, 3 hours of 580 Sports Talk on the sports voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and in living color on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, and our Facebook page, WIBW News. My name is Dan Lucero. Brendan Wierzinski is off today. Spencer Dupuis will be along a little bit later on. We have got 3 hours of 580 Sports Talk today, plus a little overtime ahead of Royals baseball tonight. It's the final series of games before the All-Star break. And the Royals looking to head to the Midsummer Classic on a high note. High note already today. Two more Royals have found out that they will be joining Bobby Witt Jr. and Chris Bubich in Atlanta for the Midsummer Classic. Royals as a team trying to end the first half on a high note with 3 games against the New York Mets. Tonight's first pitch set for 7:10. That means pregame coverage starts at 6:30 on the Royals Baseball Network. We'll have that right here on 580 WIBW and FM 104.9. We'll do a 580 Sports Talk overtime conversation of the day in the 6 o'clock hour prior to passing the baton to the Royals Baseball Network. Over the course of the next 3 hours, got 3 great interviews to bring you, and we are going to cover a lot of bases today in these 3 hours of 580 Sports Talk. We, of course, have more Big 12 Media Days content to bring you. I promised you more interviews. We've got more interviews. Today, in the 4 o'clock hour, my conversation with my good friend and Big 12 content creator, I guess you could call him, John Kurtz, formerly of KMAN in Manhattan, now does a YouTube show. You can find him on YouTube, John Kurtz Show. Go subscribe to him. If you're subscribed to us, subscribe to him. If you're subscribed to him, subscribe to us, 580 Sports Talk. But he does YouTube. He's got a newsletter called Open for Business that covers all aspects of the Big 12. Also appears on podcasts on the KC Sports Network. And I ran down John at Big 12 Media Days in Frisco, Texas earlier this week. We had a great conversation about the present and the future of the Big 12 Conference. So that conversation is coming up bottom of the 4 o'clock hour. In the 5 o'clock hour today, my chat with KU defensive tackle DJ Withers. I enjoy getting to talk to DJ, and not just because I found out that he, like I, is a Seahawks fan. You'll have to listen to the interview to find out how that came to be, but and how we came to find that out. But enjoyed talking to the senior defensive tackle for the Kansas Jayhawks, DJ Withers, and we'll bring you that interview coming up again in the 5 o'clock hour today. And our usual Friday guest, Matt Derrick, will join us at the bottom of this 3 o'clock hour. Our Chiefs insider from ChiefsDigest.com. We will talk Chiefs football. Get his thoughts on some things that have been out there published recently about the Chiefs. I have some George Karlaftis questions I want to ask him, because today we are going to resume our countdown to Chiefs kickoff with number 56, George Karlaftis. We are 56 days away from Chiefs Chargers in Brazil, so number 56, Furious George. I have a question about George, and I don't want it to come off as a concern necessarily. So it's just a question. And I don't think it's, to the extent that it is a concern, I don't believe it's an immediate concern. I just wonder if it might impact negotiations next year for a contract extension, because I do not believe the Chiefs are going to let George hit the open market. They'll pick up his 5th-year option, and then they'll go to work on a long-term extension. I believe they'll want to do a second contract with George Karlaftis. I think they should, but the length of it, I think, will be interesting. So we'll talk a little bit about Furious George as we get back into our countdown to Chiefs kickoff. We'll talk about him, of course, with Matt Derrick as he joins us at the bottom of this hour. I have some more Big 12 thoughts today. Bill Connolly of ESPN, the outstanding Bill Connolly, published his conference preview of the Big 12 today. And it brought me to some questions, kind of lingering questions that I might have had coming out of Big 12 Media Days. And questions now, I think, have a little bit more urgency based upon what I read from Bill Connolly today. If you have not read it, get over to ESPN.com and you can read the preview. It is obviously, because it is a Bill Connolly piece, it's based on some analytics, his SP Plus projection system. SP Plus likes the Cats. K-State is the conference favorite. Per the probabilities, per SP Plus, K-State enters 2025 as the best team in the Big 12 in those metrics. But it's not much separating the number 1 team from the number 8 team in the conference. And so I have some questions about that. Like one team in particular that, are we really missing something with this team? And by we, I guess I mean the broader public, but I certainly specifically mean myself in the way that I talk about teams in the Big 12. Am I overlooking a team that has a chance to be really dangerous? And like, what if nobody's bad? Like teams have to lose. Like somebody's got to lose these football games. There will be teams that lose a bunch of Big 12 games because somebody has to. But what if there isn't a weak link in the Big 12 chain, so to speak? And what could that do for the perception of the league, both positive and negative? So some more Big 12 thoughts we'll get to on the show today. I mentioned we'll get back into the countdown to Chiefs kickoff. We will talk some Royals baseball. I teased it a little bit, but the Royals today went from having 2 All-Stars to having 4 All-Stars. Carlos Estevez and Michael Garcia are headed to the All-Star game next week. Get into that a little bit. And we'll look ahead to this weekend as the Royals face the Mets. Royals playing well in the month of June. Mets been in a funk, really, for about a month now. The Mets, who stampeded out of the gate and looked like they might really grab the NL East, race by the throat. This has been about a month since they played real good baseball, and they're coming off of being swept in a doubleheader by the Orioles most recently. So talk a little bit about that, what this weekend could mean for the Royals and why it's such a nice opportunity for the Royals this weekend against the Mets, while some of their other competition in the AL wildcard chase beats up on each other. So all that's coming up, plus everything else you've come to know and love from a Friday edition of the program. We will do our 580 Sports Talk headlines. A little on second thought, change my mind. We'll crown a weekly champion on what is wrong with you, see if we can take down the nude pool fool. Plus your interaction with the show today. You are invited and encouraged to be a part of the show. I want to hear from you on this Friday. You can text the show 785-272-9429. That is 785-272-9429. You can also interact in the chat if you are watching on our YouTube stream. Again, the name of the YouTube channel is 580 Sports Talk. Go subscribe to the channel if you've not done that yet. We are up to 760. We did get to the round number. I know we've got some more heroes today who are going to go subscribe and get us closer to the next one. 580 Sports Talk, the name of the YouTube channel. Turn it on, tune it in, and interact in the chat with amongst yourself, certainly, but also with me and Spencer and your hosts as we go along throughout this journey that is 580 Sports Talk on a Friday. Good afternoon to Vance, Mark H., everybody else who will join the chat as we go along today. If you've got Big 12 questions, I want to hear them. I want to hear if you've got any lingering Big 12 football questions coming out of this week of coverage, coming out of Big 12 Media Days. Send your questions, 785-272-9429, or in the YouTube chat. Because I have some questions still. And even more so after Bill Connolly today published his preview of the conference. To give you an idea, according to his SP Plus rankings, the highest ranked team in the Big 12 is Kansas State. He has them ranked 18th in the country. And right behind them is Arizona State at number 22 in the country, and Texas Tech at number 26, BYU at number 27, though he did note, and it is official, made I guess not official, but being now reported as much more concrete news rather than just speculation that Jake Retzlaff is leaving BYU, will not be part of the football team this year. They'll probably drop a little bit in these projections, but not as much as you would expect. K-State, Arizona State, Tech, BYU, TCU, Utah, and Iowa State, all in the top 32 nationally. And then Baylor at number 35. So that's 8 teams in the Big 12 that rank among the top 35 teams in the country. A very strong contender class, upper echelon in this league. And a group that makes me feel like maybe I'm underrating BYU and certainly TCU a little bit. Back to them in a little bit. But this is what I found really fascinating, because if you read a Bill Connolly conference preview, there's some really good stuff in there, and I'm going to urge you to go and read it. In fact, if you're in the YouTube chat today, if you're over at youtube.com, 580 Sports Talk, I'm going to throw a link in to the chat, and that'll take you right to the article if you want to go read it. Anyway, he groups the teams into different categories. And the first category is conference title and therefore college football playoff contenders. And the second group is a couple of breaks away from a run. And then the next group after that is just looking for a path to 6-6. And Connolly writes, I usually reserve this category for teams with no more than a 35% chance of bowl eligibility. The Big 12 has no such teams. Every team in the Big 12 has at least, according to the SP Plus projections, a 41% chance. That's darn near a coin flip. A 41% chance or better of reaching bowl eligibility in the Big 12. As Connolly writes, everyone has a reason to be pretty ambitious. The lowest odds of reaching 6 wins, by the way, that belongs to West Virginia. And honestly, I shortchanged because if you round up, it's 41.6%. So if you round up, nobody lower than a 42% chance to make a bowl. And so, like, what if there are no dregs in this league? Because last year, like, Oklahoma State went 0-9, and they were not a really competitive 0-9. Utah went 4-8. They were competitive. Some of the teams in the bottom half of the league just weren't real competitive on a week-in, week-out basis. What if there isn't anybody like that this year? What if all of these teams that have had to rebuild their roster through the portal actually did a pretty good job with their rosters and got better through the portal? What if there are simply no weaklings in the league? Is that good or bad for the Big 12 if that's the case? I think it's good from an entertainment perspective. I think it's good from a competitiveness perspective. But I also think that a competitive league from top to bottom can be spun to hurt the Big 12 in the national college football conversation. Because if you've got a log jam of teams at 7-2 or 6-3 in league play, chances are one of those 3 losses or one of those 2 losses, that could be against a team in the bottom 4 of the league. Like the teams that are projected to be not good, a lot of them are being projected to be not good because we don't really know what to do with them. Oklahoma State's got a brand new roster. West Virginia, new coach, brand new roster. Same with UCF. Same, of course, with Colorado, who continues to churn their roster year over year. Like, I think those might have been the bottom 4 teams in my preseason Big 12 poll that Brett Yormark didn't ask for. But, like, what if it works to a degree? What if some of these transfers that Mike Gundy and Scott Frost and Rich Rodriguez and Coach Prime have brought in, what if they're good? What if they're good players? What if they're a lot more competitive than we anticipate? Again, I think that's fabulous for the league's competitiveness, but it will absolutely be held against a 7-2 Big 12 team at the end of the year if, well, but they lost to UCF. They can't be that good. Oh, well, they lost to Colorado. Colorado didn't make a bowl. Or, oh, they lost to Oklahoma State. And they didn't figure out their quarterback all year, and they went 3-9. I almost think it would be better if a defined cream of the crop emerges in this league for the sake of getting the Big 12 more than just one playoff team. Like, that's the next step for the Big 12 when it comes to, like, national respect. And there's but so much I think you should really care about that stuff, but it does matter. Like, there is a level at which that matters. And I would like to see the Big 12 get multiple playoff teams this year. And I think that would probably be less likely if there aren't punching bags in the league. There might not be. The numbers suggest there aren't going to be punching bags in this league. And that will make for a fun week in, week out product, but it will also hurt the chances of, like, the conference championship loser making the playoff. Or, like, let's say in the case of last year where BYU, who was a better football team than Miami, but Miami made the playoff, and BYU was never, ever taken seriously as a playoff team last season. So, like, that could happen again, unfortunately, if this is a good league from top to bottom. I think it benefits the league if there are some punching bags. Like, if Oklahoma State is really bad, or if it was a full-blown year zero in Morgantown or in Orlando. So, that's one of my big questions. Another one of my lingering questions for the Big 12. Am I underrating TCU? Are we collectively underrating TCU? Because you go back and you look what TCU did last year, it's basically the same thing Baylor did. But Baylor, winning all their games in the second half, got a bunch more attention than TCU basically doing the same thing. TCU was 3-3 after they lost to Houston. And they lost to Houston, and Josh Hoover was not great in that game, and everybody had kind of wrote him off. And then they won 5 of their last 6. Now, in that stretch was a loss to Baylor, but a 3-point loss on the road. They beat Utah in a defensive struggle. They edged Texas Tech at home. They crushed Oklahoma State. They routed Arizona, and they beat Cincinnati. So there is a little bit, when you look at that group of teams relative to the rest of the Big 12, it's a little bit of the same situation as Baylor, where Baylor got hot, but who did Baylor beat that was really good? Like, you can argue that the best team that Baylor beat in that run of games at the end of their season was probably Kansas. Well, what if it was TCU instead? But TCU didn't beat anybody real good either. Like, the best team they beat in that stretch was probably either Texas Tech or Cincinnati. It's not like, Kansas was reeling off wins against the league's contenders down the stretch. TCU was beating up on a 4-win Utah team, an Oklahoma State team that didn't win any conference games, an Arizona team that only won 4 games. So that's probably why we're not giving as much credence to TCU as a contender as we are to Baylor. But Bill Connolly's numbers like TCU better than they like Baylor. Bill Connolly thinks TCU's got a chance to win a full game more than Baylor, just about in the projections. He's got Baylor projected on average to win 6.7 games and TCU to win 7.5. TCU's chances of winning a conference title are 2.5% better than Baylor's. Their chances of winning 11 games, 1.5% higher than Baylor's. And their bowl game chances, just about 13% higher than Baylor's. Baylor's getting a lot of love as a dark horse this year because of their second half turnaround, but maybe it should be TCU getting that attention. I guess the question is, again, so much comes back to quarterback play. Who do you believe in? Do you believe in Sawyer Robertson? Do you believe in Josh Hoover? And we didn't really see Robertson play poorly last year. We saw Hoover play poorly. Hoover wasn't very good in the middle portion of the season. He was very turnover prone in the middle portion. He was turnover prone against Kansas, and they still won that game. But if he can limit the turnovers, he was obviously super prolific in terms of his stats. He's got to work in some new wide receivers this year. But if Josh Hoover's really good, let me ask you this. Who do you think is better between Hoover and Baron Morton of Texas Tech, another team we all think is going to be really good because of the roster that they've purchased there in Lubbock? I think I'd probably take Hoover over Morton. Morton might have a higher ceiling, but we've seen Hoover play better for stretches than we've ever seen Baron Morton play. So maybe TCU is the dark horse. If you're really looking for one, maybe it's them. Here's another one of my Big 12 lingering questions. And I think that this one is also a question that we've got from the YouTube comments. Vance asking about special teams and wanted to know my thoughts on special teams for KU and K-State. I think the direction of my question kind of dovetails with that, because in a league where everybody could be a varying degree of respectable to very good, where there are no dregs, which is very possible, the difference between contending and not, the difference between playing in Arlington and not, the difference between making a bowl game and not. You can ask Kansas about this. The difference between a bowl game and not a bowl game. How did you do in the close ones? Did you win the close games? Well, what's going to be the determining factor in winning close games, particularly when it comes to Kansas and Kansas State? And special teams are always a factor both ways. I think for KU, they feel pretty good about their kicking situation. They've got a new punter in this year. They've got a new kicker in this year who was really good at his last school, Laith Marjan, that they're really enthusiastic about. They could absolutely be better, KU, in special teams this year, at least in the kicking game. They could be better than they were last year. That would be a big help. That would be a big boost in close games. For K-State, it's the special teams you were talking about here, but also it should be said, and I think anybody who's followed K-State would agree with the assessment, that the last couple of years, special teams has not been to the Kansas State standard. And Chris Tennant had a good year last year kicking the ball, but the punting game wasn't as good last year. They haven't been as good in coverage as they typically are. There are some things that need cleaned up on the special team side for K-State, and they're going to break in a brand new kicker. Now, the standard is so high that you don't ever expect K-State to be just overall bad at special teams, but that used to be a way for so many years that they would steal a close game or two because they were better on special teams than the other team. And they got to get back to that. If they get back to that, that's a big step for them towards Arlington. The other thing that factors into close games, that's going to be turnovers. Can KU and K-State be better taking care of the football? I don't see any reason why they won't. To be honest with you, I think a lot of the turnovers last year that were committed by Jalen Daniels were about him pressing a little bit, trying to make up for lost time. Talked about this the other day after I talked to Jalen. I don't feel like he's going to make those same mistakes coming back for this year. I think he'll be a lot more composed and a lot more safe with the football the way that he was the second half of last year. The flip side of that for Kansas State, I think that Avery Johnson's mistakes were mistakes of youthfulness, and I think he's got a chance to eradicate a lot of the bad turnovers that he committed last year. I'm not, of course, saying that either quarterback's can be turnover-free or anything like that, but I do believe that both quarterbacks have a chance to be much more secure with the ball and get those interception numbers down to a more manageable number. Because, I mean, you look at K-State, Avery Johnson doesn't throw that terrible pick against Houston, they win that game. And then how does that change their season? Jalen Daniels doesn't throw that pick late in the first half against Illinois. I think they go on to win that game because they were leading and they were going to take a lead into the locker room on the road. I think they would have gone on to win that game. And then who knows how their season progresses from there. So limiting turnovers, being better on special teams, both of those programs need to get there. I think both of those programs have it in them to get there, should project to be better in both departments. And if they are, then they should have better records in close games. But the other part, too, is this is football we're talking about. And sometimes the close game comes down to which way did a loose ball bounce. Sometimes that's what it is. And there's no matter what you do, how hard you practice, how well you game plan, you can't predict how that ball's going to bounce. But I do think for K-State's part and for KU's part, that's going to be the two biggest factors in making sure that they close close games in a way that will help them have the best year that they can possibly have. Take a quick break. We'll come back. There are a couple more questions I want to get to, and then Matt Derrick's going to join us to talk some Chiefs football. John Kurtz, my conversation with him about the Big 12 from Big 12 Media Days. K-State or KU defensive tackle DJ Withers is going to join me later on in the show. We got a jam-packed Friday edition of 580 Sports Talk. So glad you're here. 580 WIBW. Couple more questions from you listeners about the Big 12. They're both about K-State as it happens before we get to Matt Derrick, our Chiefs insider here on this Friday edition of 580 Sports Talk. Mark wants to know what I think of the K-State defense, asked in the YouTube comments. I think it's got as high a ceiling as any defensive unit in the Big 12. If there's a big question about the group, it's two big questions. Number one, are the new faces at cornerback good enough to replace what's been a kind of a wave of NFL caliber talent that has suited up at that position? They got two new starters at corner. They've got new starter at jack linebacker which is a kind of a hybrid safety role. They got a new starter at free safety, though that's veteran Gunnar Maldonado, the Arizona transfer, and he's played a lot of football. So that's one question. I happen to think that question will be answered very positively because I think Donovan McIntosh and Zayshawn Rich are really good. And they're only sophomores, but I think those guys are good. And I think those guys are ready to show out right away. And I trust the coaching staff. I trust Joe Klanderman and Dan Malone and what they've done with defensive backs over the years. The other question that I have here from the 785 on the text line, you can text the show 785-272-9429. 9429, excuse me. Do you believe with K-State being one of the more premier football programs in the Big 12 that Coach Kleiman not making the Big 12 championship could put him on the hot seat? Short answer to that question is no. I don't. I think a guy who's 48-28 in his tenure at Kansas State with a Big 12 championship under his belt is a very long way from the hot seat. I don't think that the folks in charge at K-State have lost sight of the fact that it is difficult to win big at Kansas State. It can be done, and they found a coach who's done it. And I think they are going to be willing to ride with him for a very long time. And I have trouble seeing K-State having the kind of season that would put him on the hot seat. Like it would be disappointing if this team didn't get to Arlington. I think it would be more disappointing this year than last if this team did not get to Arlington. But if they go 9-3 in the regular season, I don't think that's the kind of thing that makes you reevaluate whether or not Chris Kleiman's the right guy to lead the program into the future. I still believe in him, and I have a hard time believing that K-State's going to have the kind of season that they're even capable of having the kind of season that would bring that conversation into play. Matt Derrick joins me next for Chiefs Insider on 580 Sports Talk. We go to Kansas City on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline for our Chiefs insider, Matt Derrick of ChiefsDigest.com. He joins us every Friday at this time. You can check him out at ChiefsDigest.com and across all manner of social media at Matt Derrick. Matt, enjoy your 4th of July. Got the same number of fingers and toes?
Same number of fingers and toes. I might have put on a couple of pounds. I should have sent you some pictures of the ribs and the beans and the coleslaw and the deviled eggs, but I ate them all before I remembered to take a picture. So
would have made me insanely jealous, but yes, I would have enjoyed that. Glad you enjoyed the 4th of July. We've been really into talking season this week here on 580 Sports Talk. I was at Big 12 Media Days in Frisco, Texas. A lot of talk about KU at Mizzou week 3. What's your early read on that one as a Tiger?
That should be. I mean, it should be a fun one. I mean, I've been looking forward to it. Wish I could get over there. I don't think that's going to be possible. That's going to be a heck of a football weekend period for Kansas City. But I'm just so glad to see it back happening again. It's going to be wonderful. I'm optimistic about Mizzou's chances to hold on to this one, but you never know what's going to happen when you're going to get these two teams together.
That's a fact. That is a fact. Matt Derrick, our Chiefs insider, joining us here on 580 Sports Talk. I saw a off-season grade given by Seth Walder of ESPN.com. He handed out his off-season grades. Chiefs got a B minus. Now, Seth's the tough grader. He only gave out 4 A's, 1 A and 3 A minuses. So nothing wrong with B minus. That's ahead of the curve. That'll get you your degree, no question about it. Do you think that's a fair accounting of the Chiefs offseason, particularly given the fact that when you're at the standard level that the Chiefs are at, you don't need to make a ton of splashy offseason moves on a year in, year out basis?
Yeah, that's where it probably is kind of hard to grade a team like the Chiefs because they're not going to be taking any big swings. Yes, there are holes to fill, but if you just went based on, hey, did the Chiefs fill the holes that they needed to? Is there anything really outstanding that you would see is left to be done? I'm not sure that I would really say that. I mean, I feel like this team addressed pretty much everything that it needed to address. Did it fix all of its problems, all the ills from the Super Bowl? I mean, only time will tell. We'll find out. But I don't know that if I were Brett Veach, I would do a whole lot of things differently. You know, Jalen Moore, in retrospect, probably the best swing at left tackle in free agency that they could take. Would they have taken it if they knew what they could get in the draft? Probably still so. I mean, I think that they really wanted to take a couple of cracks at that, and they absolutely did that. So, yeah, I mean, I think that's a reasonable grade. I mean, I wouldn't argue with bumping them up. I mean, I don't think that they deserve a C grade, so maybe minus, maybe fits in right at where they should be.
We are coming up on the deadline for Trey Smith to sign his extension. Otherwise, he's going to play this 2025 season on the tag. And deadline spur action, we've talked about it so many times. Chiefs have gone down to the wire on things like this before and come away with deals. They've gone past the wire on things like this before. Like Exhibit A, Chris Jones watching week 1 against the Lions from a suite and not on the field. So these things have happened with the Chiefs before. They've been willing to take it to the 11th hour and sometimes even to 11:01, so to speak. But do you still have confidence that this is a thing that gets done between the Chiefs and Smith and that he plays in 2025, not on the tag at $23 million, but on a deal that is more team friendly in the short term and very friendly to Trey Smith in the long haul?
Yeah, I feel like my opinion on this changes every time my phone rings or I get a text message. I'll say a couple of things about this because 2 days ago I was saying like I think more than likely than he probably plays under the tag, and unless we really see any movement before the 15th, and he'll probably play under the tag. Now we're not hearing that hey he's going to play under the tag, and I think at this point, if it were certain that there wasn't a chance to get a deal done, I think that we would be hearing more from one side or the other, or we would hearing some more speculation that, from maybe informed speculation that he's going to play under the tag. I think there's a couple of things at play, and one is just that it simply makes too much sense for both teams to not get a deal done. Trey Smith playing this season for $23.4 million is just madness. I mean, yes, he can bet on himself, but all you need to do is get hurt, and all of a sudden, the anywhere from 60 to 100 million or 50 million guaranteed that you could be looking at is gone. And for the Chiefs, it's madness to I think let him go into the offseason next year because their options are just so limited if they want to try and move him. So I still feel like that both sides are motivated to get the deal done, and the fact that we're not hearing anything at this point, I mean, it's one of those strange things where no news is maybe good news. I'm starting to feel like that maybe there is an indication that these two sides are going to get something done. Can't go to 11:01, but they can go to 3:00 Central Time on the 15th and 2:59, and it might come down to that. But I'm starting to think that there's a chance they could get this done.
What do you know about the relationship between Smith and Brett Veach and the Chiefs front office, Smith's representatives? Is that typically been a pretty good working relationship?
It really seems like it has, not just even that, but really Trey Smith's relationship with Kansas City. His dad worked here when he was young, and so when he got drafted here, he had that kind of connection, and his dad, kind of telling him, "Hey, Kansas City's gonna be a good place for you." And I think we've seen that. I mean, he's developed a really good relationship with this town and with the organization, and that's one thing. Even through this, is that you've seen Trey Smith continue to do things. I mean, I know. Hey, this isn't like giving back to the community, but right now he's been shooting a State Farm commercial with Patrick Mahomes. So I think that tells you a little bit about just hey, his relationship with his teammates and how everything fits together. And he certainly hasn't done anything to shy away from the team. He was here for OTAs, and all indications are, or at least for the mandatory mini camp. And we're not hearing about anything that would be involved in him sitting at camp. Chiefs have continued to say all the great things about Trey Smith, and he has not aired any dirty laundry about the contract publicly. So I think that does speak just about how well both sides feel about the other. I mean, there's no animosity in this deal.
We're joined by Matt Derrick of Chiefs Digest here on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits Hotline. And Matt, did it take Trent McDuffie having 2 interceptions last year to finally being recognized by his peers in the NFL?
I guess so. I mean, it's taken a while, but he finally got there. Hasn't got a Pro Bowl nomination that would have gotten him some more money. He's gotten the All Pro love, but I thought there was a chance that this might be the year that he finally pops into the top 100 and comes in at number 81. Might be the highest Chief for a while on that list. I imagine there's going to be 3 Chiefs, pretty high on the list. I don't know how many there will be between, say, the 20s and 81. There might not be another one, but Trent McDuffie's more than deserving of it. I'll be interested to see how many other corners are ahead of him. There might be 4 or 5. Where he kind of ends up being ranked on that list, I think will be interesting. But certainly he's absolutely deserving of it. And maybe it was finally getting a couple of turnovers that put him over the top.
Couple more questions for Matt Derrick, our Chiefs insider. You can find his work at chiefsdigest.com. And again, find him across all forms of social media just by looking for at Matt Derrick. Joining us on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits Hotline here on 580 Sports Talk. Matt, in a little bit, we're going to continue our countdown to Chiefs kickoff. We're 56 days out, and that means we're going to talk a little bit about George Karlaftis. But I want to get your thoughts on Furious George. First and foremost, what has to happen for George to turn pressures into sacks more often in 2025? What's the element of his game? And we forget sometimes how young he still is. He's going to be 24 this season. What is the element that he needs to add to his game that can take him from being a very good pass rusher to potentially one of the game's elite, if that's the level he's capable of reaching?
Yeah, you make an interesting point, which is that, last year was not a problem with pressures. I mean, it wasn't a problem with getting close to the quarterback. You look at a lot of the advanced metrics just as far as how he was able to affect the passer. And, and that's a reason why. I mean, he's actually been, ranked on some lists this year amongst the best pass rushers in the league. Now, is he elite yet? Is he top 10? No. And that's when you guys start piling up the sacks to get that done. And, I've talked to different people, have different theories about this. One is just that, maybe he just needs to be a bit, stronger finisher, that he does a pretty good job of getting to the quarterback and just needs to be able to work on his technique as far as, actually getting his hands on the quarterback and getting him to the ground, maybe a little bit on containment. There's others that'll just say, hey, it's luck, that those pressures more often than not over the long term turn into sacks. And that if you generate that same amount of pressures and have the same metrics that George Karlaftis had last year, he's bound to have more sacks this season because they just should translate. Things should balance out. Bad luck should balance out. It's probably a little bit of everything. And one thing I think that there's no doubt about is just he needs help. I mean, every great pass rusher needs help. Nobody can do it alone by themselves. I mean, even Derrick Thomas would tell you that if he were here with us today, and his teammates have told us this, over the years, is that as good as he was, hey, he needed, big guys in the middle. He needed somebody opposite him to be able to allow him to, get those one-on-one matchups that he needed to just absolutely destroy even the best offensive tackles. And that's where, hey, Charles Omenihu was going to be an important piece this year because again, if you can divide the offensive line's attention to protection, divide the quarterback's attention, have Chris Jones in the middle too. If you can come at the quarterback from different angles, everybody's going to benefit from that. And so I think that's a big part of it. And obviously, Karlaftis needs the sacks if he wants to get paid. That's how edge rushers get paid. They don't get paid by advanced metrics. They get paid when they get the quarterback on the ground.
Speaking of getting paid, Greg Rousseau signed a 4-year, $80 million contract extension with the Bills this offseason. Karlaftis is going to be lying for an extension next year. I believe he's going to get one from the Chiefs. I believe that would be smart business by the Chiefs to extend George Karlaftis. Do you feel like 4 for $80, that $20 million a year, is a starting point or maybe a floor for the start of negotiations? Or does that feel more like fair market value for Karlaftis? Or do you think he gets more than that?
I feel like that the average per year is probably about fair market value. Now, I'm sure that Karlaftis' agents would tell you that, hey, he's above that and should make more. I think the Chiefs would probably think that the Rousseau deal is pretty close to what they would be thinking. You know, whether it's just a 3-year deal or a 4-year deal, $20 million per, I think would be what they would want. I mean, if Karlaftis, the benefit for him of a 3-year deal, a shorter deal, would be trying to hit free agency again in his 30s and be able to get a third contract. That's something that could happen with Trent McDuffie and Trey Smith as well if they get the kind of right deals right now. To me, this is just, it's one of those things. I mean, there are basically, like I've been saying, Karlaftis has 2 contract years in front of him. I mean, if he has a big sack season this year, 12 to 15 sacks, there is no reason not to push the Chiefs to either give him an extension or trade him to somewhere where they will give him the extension, because 12 to 15 sacks, that could make it a 5-year deal, $100 million, even 4 years, $100 million. That could really increase his APY. So I could see this year being having a big impact for him. But again, at the same time, with that 5th-year option, if he gets hurt this year or there's another reason why he doesn't have a big year, he still has year 5. Now, it's harder to do. I mean, we've seen a lot of edge rushers have their breakout seasons in year 4. Max Crosby kind of did that. Daniel Hunter has done that. There's a few others. So that's why I think this year is pretty crucial for George. But like I said, if he lets himself down and doesn't produce and get paid, he still has that 5th year that's kind of his last contract year.
Matt Derrick covers the Kansas City Chiefs for ChiefsDigest.com. He is our Chiefs insider here on 580 Sports Talk. Joins us every Friday at this time on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits Hotline. Matt, it is always a pleasure. We look forward to doing it again next week.
Can't wait, guys. Take care, my friends.
That is Matt Derrick. We will step aside for a timeout, come back, wrap up this 3 o'clock hour with a little Change My Mind on 580 Sports Talk. 3:55 on 580 Sports Talk. Let's do a little Change My Mind to wrap up the hour. Spencer, you never get to go first on Change My Mind.
Yeah.
You want to go first?
Yeah.
All right, let's do it.
This kind of bounces off what we were talking about with Matt Derrick about Trey Smith. Trey Smith is just content. Like, he'll play under the tag this year and see where things go from there. I think any 6th-round pick is going to look at a big amount of money that as they can get, and he's getting a decent chunk of change to play 1 year. I think he doesn't even care. Like, that's why he's showing up, and he's not even like making a big deal about it, because he's like, well, I'll play a year under and I'll see where the cap situation is next year, because he knows the kind of team he's playing on. I changed my mind. He knows what kind of team he's playing on, and he knows that there could go for another Super Bowl.
No, I think that's a really good point, and I think there's a lot of truth to that, potentially, that Trey Smith understands, like, he will make more money this year on the tag than he would had they agreed to a long-term deal first in the offseason. You can make $23 million on the tag this year. That's like tackle money. He's a guard. Guard money, like elite, the top guard contract's $21 million a year. So he's still a young player in the league and sees an opportunity. Well, I can make $23 million this year, and then we can come back. We can do this all over again next year, and I can do the long-term deal and see what happens with the salary cap, see what the guard market looks like next year. I can do this all over again. But yeah, he doesn't strike me as somebody who's going to throw a fit over playing on the tag.
Exactly.
Like, he's not going to, he was at camp. He was at mini camp. I think he's going to be at training camp. And I think he's going to be a good teammate all the way through the process. And yeah, I mean, that's an opportunity. He's maybe look at it and say, hey, you know what the difference between $21 million and $23 million is? A whopping $2 million. And that's not nothing.
For a guy that's a 6th-round pick, maybe he never thought he'd see that.
Coming up in the 4 o'clock hour, we're talking Chiefs. What is wrong with you? And John Kurtz joins us. That's coming up on 580 Sports Talk. Let's get it. Hour number 2, 580 Sports Talk on this Friday afternoon. Thanks so much for being with us on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and in living color on our video channels. Watch us on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. Watch us on our Facebook page, WIBW News. However you're checking in, whenever you're listening to the show, whether you're catching us live or via archive video or via the podcast, thanks for listening. We know you have entertainment options. We're glad you've chosen 580 Sports Talk. I am Dan Lucero, Spencer Dupuis across the glass. We got you for 2 more hours, plus a little overtime prior to Royals baseball tonight. Royals and Mets, game 1 of 3 at the K this weekend. It's Eric Hosmer bobblehead night at Kauffman Stadium tonight. Wonder if Haas will be there. He came out for the reunion stuff.
I would assume so. They probably asked him to. Does he have a, well, I guess it's been a long time. Does he have a player services contract?
I don't know that. I'm not aware of that.
Because with the Nationals, Ryan Zimmerman has a player services contract, so he's like at everything. He's literally like still the face of the Nationals.
Well, he is. I know he played college ball at Virginia. Is he from that area?
He's from like Virginia Beach. So
okay,
southern
yeah.
Virginia.
So it's not like.
But no, he still lives in the area.
Yeah, he's not coming a long way, or like he's from the area. I don't know where Haas is based out of these days. I know he's doing the podcast thing, doing the getting into the podcast world. But it'd be cool if he were there tonight throughout the first pitch. It feels like the kind of thing that if they asked him, he'd do it.
Yeah.
So I know he's got a lot of love for Kansas City still after his playing days have ended. But that's the giveaway tonight. So if you're coming from this area where you're hearing us in Northeast Kansas, you're going to want to get out there early. Make sure you get.
You'd probably be getting on the road right now.
Yeah. Make sure you get your hands on that bobblehead tonight. Should be a good game too. Good pitching matchup. Michael Wacha for Kansas City. Kodai Senga and his Ghost Fork pitching for the New York Mets tonight. Again, first pitch 7:10. Pregame coverage 6:30 here on 580 WIBW FM 104.9. We'll have some more Royals thoughts a little bit later on in the show. Get you ready for that series. So Royals try to do a thing that, again, they were really good at last year. This year, it's kind of been on and off, but they have done it to start the month of June, and July rather, in their last 2 series, and that is keep a struggling team struggling. And the Mets have been in a month-long funk. So big opportunity for the Royals this weekend. Also a happy day for the Royals today with Michael Garcia and Carlos Estevez both being named All-Stars as injury replacements. Boy, I think every pitcher in the American League is an All-Star.
Yeah,
I think at this point,
so how does that work? I always like if you go and play, you get the designation, but like if you don't go, you still get designated.
Yes, you were named to the team. Like I think all these guys who aren't going to pitch, they're going to make the trip. Like they're going to go, they're going to stand on the foul line and wave and do all the red carpet stuff, and it'll be on their baseball reference page forever. But yeah, you get pitchers, and it's understandable. Like, okay, you pitch on Sunday, you're not pitching in the All-Star game. So
pitch on Saturday, even Friday.
Get somebody in the game who can pitch. I understand that, but yeah, now today you're having guys like, well, I go Saturday, so I'm not going to really throw on Tuesday. So yes, I believe that every single American League pitcher has been named an All-Star. It's too bad Chris Stratton didn't stay in the league. If Stratton had stayed in the AL, he might have been named an All-Star by now. We're just going on down the list of American League pitchers, just making phone calls. Hey, you guys doing anything next Tuesday? Hey, are you busy? You didn't book anything. You're not getting married, right? You're not going to be in a hunting blind or fishing or anything. It's not hunting season. You get what I mean, right? Like they're finding out basically who's available, and you don't pitch Sunday, do you? Okay, perfect. Get on a plane. So. But 2 Royals were named to the team today as injury replacements, or just as replacements, Michael Garcia and Carlos Estevez. So we'll get into that a little bit more later on. Also have some more Big 12 Media Days content to bring you, the gift that keeps on giving, as I had a couple of more conversations from Frisco, Texas on Tuesday and Wednesday. Coming up later this hour, my chat with John Kurtz, who's one of the leading national media voices on the Big 12, even if he's not like on ESPN or anything like that. But his YouTube channel, at John Kurtz Show on YouTube. He's on X at JL Kurtz. He's got the Open for Business newsletter. He's created a lane in the Big 12 media space for himself, of course, formerly of KMAN in Manhattan. So a voice that is certainly familiar to our friends to the west of us here in Topeka. But John's one of my favorites, and we sat down for a long conversation
Extended.
It's a long interview, but it's a good interview because, listen, John used to do this for a living.
Oh, yeah. It's easy for him to be like, we just went 17 minutes.
I think I asked like 4 questions, and we just had back and forth from there. I think I don't even think I had 4 prepared. I just think we just had a conversation, just 2 old friends chopping it up in Frisco. So we're going to bring that to you, talking about the present and the future of the Big 12 Conference. Also, another player interview from Big 12 Football Media Days. Today, we'll chat with my fellow Seattle Seahawks fan, DJ Withers, defensive tackle for the Kansas Jayhawks. Look forward to that conversation, bringing you that conversation with DJ. Really enjoy getting to talk to him on Wednesday out there in Frisco. So that's coming up in the 5 o'clock hour. Also, we're going to crown a What Is Wrong With You champion for the week coming up in a little bit. Want to hear from you? The text line is open, 785-272-9429. That is 785-272-9429. You can also jump into the chat on our YouTube stream. Again, our channel is 580 Sports Talk. Go subscribe to the YouTube channel if you have not yet. And you can interact with your fellow listeners and your hosts as we go throughout the day in the chat feature on the mobile device or the web browser of your choice. If you are watching us on YouTube, again, the name of the channel is 580 Sports Talk. Just had Matt Derrick on from ChiefsDigest.com. Our Chiefs insider. We were talking about George Karlaftis because today we are 56 days away from the Chiefs and the Chargers in Brazil, week 1 action in 2025. And 56 is a good number at which to resume the Chiefs countdown to kickoff, because last 3 days, 59 is an undrafted free agent, 58 is a retired number, and 57, they don't have one right now. So 56 is George Karlaftis. They very much have a prominent number 56. So it is George Karlaftis days until Chiefs kickoff. And one of the things that we brought up in the conversation with Matt Derrick, and again, if you missed it, it's already up on our podcast page at 580wibw.com, our hour-by-hour breakdowns. If you're watching on the video and you missed it, you can hit rewind. You'll get caught up eventually. It'll also be our overtime conversation of the day. Spoiler alert, if you missed it, we'll re-rack it in the 6 o'clock hour before Royals baseball. But we're talking about a contract extension for Karlaftis. He is obviously eligible for one now. This is his 4th year. As a first-round pick, there is a 5th-year option. The Chiefs are going to pick up that 5th-year option for George Karlaftis. That's merely procedural. The desire will be to do a long-term contract for a guy who has been one of their sack leaders the last couple of seasons. And so I went and looked at what the premium defensive end, outside linebacker, the edge rushers in the league, the kind of money that those guys make. Like, George Karlaftis is not Max Crosby. Chiefs would be a lot better off if he was, but he's not. And that's not a knock, because Max Crosby might be the best in the league at what he does. But I say that to say that George Karlaftis isn't going to make $30 million a year plus. When I looked at some of the players that I consider to kind of be in Karlaftis' class, the first name I came upon was Greg Rousseau. And Greg Rousseau, the Bills, is, I think, kind of similar in the sense that he is also a young player. He just finished his 4th year in the league, and it was his age 24 season. George Karlaftis is entering his age 24 season, and it is his 4th NFL season. So you have this, the age factor is the same. They were both late first-round picks. Rousseau's first 4 years in the NFL, he has 25 sacks. George Karlaftis has 24 and a half sacks in 3 years in the NFL. So Rousseau got 4 years, $80 million. That's a clean $20 million a year. So that was my first thought, right? Was looking at Rousseau's contract. I said, okay, similar age, similar kind of player, similar, like, It's not like elite top of the charts production, but that's a solid edge rusher. You're happy to have that guy on your team. 4 years, $80 million. That's probably a good starting point for George Karlaftis, but Karlaftis has been a lot more productive.
He really has.
Than Greg Rousseau. So then I started looking at some other guys. I looked at Rashawn Gary. That's of course, that's Brendan's guy. Rashawn Gary of the Green Bay Packers. Gary got his extension after year 4 when he was 25. And in his first 4 seasons in the NFL, I'm doing back of the napkin math here, so my apologies, this is slow. 22 and a half sacks for Gary in his first 4 seasons. And since he signed the extension in his last 2 years, he's at 16 and a half sacks, and he's made his first Pro Bowl. Pro Bowl appearance is noteworthy because Karlaftis doesn't have one of those yet in his first 3 seasons. But Rashawn Gary got 4 for 96 2 years ago. 4 years, $96 million. And again, he was coming off of an injury that cost him half of his 4th NFL season. He got $24 million a year. I think Karlaftis is better than he is. So then I scaled up again. Brian Burns, who was initially a member of the Carolina Panthers, ended up getting his big deal after the Panthers screwed up that whole situation. He left. He went to the Giants, and he signed his big deal before last season. He signed his deal before his age 26 season, so a little bit older than or same age, on the same age track as Karlaftis. Year 4 was his 24-year-old season. That was when Burns really broke out. He made his second Pro Bowl. He had his best season so far, 12 and a half sacks. Burns has 54 and a half career sacks. His career low is his rookie year. He had 7.5 in a part-time role. Karlaftis' career low is 6 in his rookie year. So Burns has been super productive. And in terms of getting the quarterback on the ground, he got 5 years for $141 million. That's $28.2 million a year. If I just say this to you, Spencer, I say this to you, listener, Chiefs fan, if Karlaftis' money comes between $24 million a year, which is Rashawn Gary, and $28.2 million a year that Brian Burns got, does that feel about right? Do you feel comfortable with that kind of money for George Karlaftis for a 4 or 5 year stretch?
Yeah, I think I do. And obviously, the longer you wait to give him this extension, the more it's just going to go up. I think if he continues on his trajectory that you think he is, because he's such a great player, I think that the numbers right now as we speak are good.
So obviously that's like, there's 2 sides to this. The Chiefs, I'm sure, would love to be able to say, hey, Leon, let's get something done now before the price of the brick goes up, before we do. Let's say he has 12 and a half, 13 sacks this next year. Now we are talking Brian Burns money for George Karlaftis getting that contract extension, because Karlaftis come out, set a career high in sacks, turn all those hits and pressures into more on paper production, and performs in the playoffs as he did last year. He had 4 sacks in the playoffs. Then George Karlaftis goes to Brett Veach, and his people go to Brett Veach, and they say yesterday's price is not today's price. And it gets a little bit more expensive. But, like, that's the understanding that Karlaftis and his representation have. That's why there is no deal done now. That's why Trent McDuffie's going to wait 1 more year. 1, they have the luxury of doing that. But 2, we haven't maybe seen their best football yet. I think we have not seen George Karlaftis' best football. But this is my one, and I even hesitate to call it a concern, but this is the question I have about Karlaftis looking at his career. Because I think that Karlaftis' best attribute as a pass rusher, I don't think it's moves. I don't think it's speed. I don't think it's power. I think it's motor. When I think of George Karlaftis as a pass rusher, I think about his motor first and foremost. That he's never out of a play. That a lot of his sacks come from just relentlessly getting after the quarterback, getting around the edge, fighting through the block, and finishing a play with a sack. Tremendous motor for George Karlaftis. I worry about how well pass rushers like that age. I'm going to give you an example here. And this is an older example. This goes back to 20 years down the road, but a similar kind of player, style of player, similarly sized 4-3 defensive end. Remember Grant Wistrom out of Nebraska? Grant Wistrom, drafted by the Rams. First 4 seasons in the NFL, he had 29.5 sacks. Final 5 years in the NFL, he only had 23.5, and he was done at 30. He was done when that athleticism started to go, when that ability to get to 100% effort on every single snap, when that started to drain away, he was no longer at that point an effective pass rusher. So that is my, again, I don't mean to say that I'm worried. I'm not trying to concern troll over a player I really like in George Karlaftis, but I do think he's going to have to get either a little bit stronger or a little bit more explosive or add some more diversity to his arsenal as a pass rusher so that he's not just a motor guy. Because I worry about the longevity of a motor guy. I don't worry about the longevity of guys like who can beat you with their power or who can beat you with explosion or who can beat you because they're great with their hands. So I think there is room for George to grow, and I do not think it is out of the question that he joins the elite group of pass rushers with another double-digit sack this year. In fact, I think that ought to be the expectation for George Karlaftis in his age 24 season. But for the long haul, if he's going to get a third contract in the league, I think he's going to have to add something to his game. I still think he can be a really good player if he doesn't. But if we want to be talking about George Karlaftis a decade from now,
yeah,
that's I mean, even that's a reach because he'd be 34, and that's a long time for anybody to play in the league. If we still want to be talking about him, if he wants to get a handsome third contract in this league, it's going to be, I think, because he added a dimension to his pass rushing ability.
That guys typically do in their late 20s if they're finding out something doesn't work anymore.
That's true. That's true. A lot of guys are able to do that. Wistrom never was, and that's why he was done at 30. But yeah, that is what happens because you do find out, okay, I am a half a step slower.
Yeah.
I don't have quite as much pop as I did when I was a younger guy.
But also people then have seen all the tape on you, so you got to get creative.
Yes. And I think we're just scratching the surface with George Karlaftis, and I'm excited to see what he brings to the table in 2025. We're going to take a break. We'll come back with What is Wrong with You? My conversation with John Kurtz from Big 12 Media Days coming up in just a bit. You're listening to 580 Sports Talk. It is time once again for What Is Wrong With You on 580 Sports Talk. It is brought to you by our main man, Mo, State Farm Agent Ryan Mo Winkle. Give Mo a shout, 785-273-1572, just in case you or something you value winds up part of somebody's What Is Wrong With You story. That's 785-273-1572. Our current weekly champion, the nude pool fool. We've seen him called the poo noodle or the unholy diver. It's a really good story out of Florida where a naked guy got in a swimming pool that was not his and refused to get out. There's a great picture of 6 police officers. One of them is trying to remove him with a hose fashioned as a lasso. At one point, the guy got out of the pool and then he got right back in the pool, like a golden retriever dog. That's the story.
Yeah.
Beauty and simplicity. The naked guy in somebody else's swimming pool. Man, it was probably a hot day. Just looking to cool off. Would not get out of the pool. Please, no. Please. Well, okay, maybe for a little bit. Nah, man, didn't like this. I'm getting back in. Dude, we are going to literally try and lasso you out of the pool. They even offered him a soda at one point.
Just get out.
Get out, dude.
We will do anything for you to get out of here.
Coke, Diet Coke.
We'll have it ready.
We will, anything. Like Dr. Pepper 10, we'll go find it. Anything for you.
Pepsi Clear.
Crystal Pepsi. They brought that back.
They did. I tried it.
Real brief period.
Bad.
It was fine. It
I don't think
fine.
it was good.
Anyhow, 2 news stories today. Full disclosure, there were no stories in the rundown when I began doing research, and I found a story that I liked. When I went to put it into the rundown today, Spencer had beat me to it. So, Spencer, this is a story we both like. Share it with us.
Yeah, I'm going back to the West Virginia well 2 days in a row. 2 people in West Virginia are facing several charges after an officer said he observed them doing the deed while driving an RV. Bluefield police said driver Matthew McDonald admitted to doing it with his female passenger, later identified as Shannon Bryant. The officer said the RV came back as stolen, and drug paraphernalia was also found in the vehicle during the stop. He is facing charges that include indecent exposure, driving under the influence, possession of a controlled substance without a valid prescription. Additionally, he had warrants out of the Bluefield Municipal Court and from neighboring county, Tazewell County, Virginia. Her charges include receiving or transferring a stolen vehicle, possession of a controlled substance, and indecent exposure. Again, another story where you're doing more crimes while doing a crime.
Yes, don't commit a crime while in the act of committing a crime. Also,
or in the act of anything else.
Like if I were driving a stolen vehicle, I would be doing everything I could not to attract attention to my vehicle. Certainly not having my female passenger bouncing up and down on top of me while I was navigating the vehicle. Also, it's an RV. Just pull over.
Pull over and go to the back.
Pull over and go to the back.
Stupidity.
Jeez, Lou. Wow, what a story. Anyhow, for my story today, we're going to Ireland and we meet DJ Carey, a star of the sport of hurling. Are you familiar with hurling?
Yes.
It's a little like soccer, a little bit like lacrosse.
Yeah.
Like kind of a mix, a little bit like football. It's quite a sport. Very Irish. DJ Carey may be the biggest hurling star in the history of Ireland, but his life has taken a turn. He pled guilty recently to 10 counts of deception at Dublin's Criminal Courts of Justice for faking illness to solicit money under false pretenses. He scammed people out of millions of dollars by claiming that he had cancer. And one of the ways that he did that was by using this photograph of himself. This is a photograph that he distributed. We're going to put it up on our YouTube channel at 580 Sports Talk on YouTube. There he is. That's obviously a YouTube charger up his nose. Obviously. Like you can tell. And yet, that was the image that he used to scam people out of millions of dollars. Used a series of letter templates to scam victims as well. Fell into debt in 2011, did Carey, and faked his illness for 8 years. And even conned Irish billionaire Dennis O'Brien into giving him millions of dollars. Carey's lawyer acknowledged he lied about having cancer, but argued he does suffer from genuine health conditions. He'll be sentenced on the 29th of October and could face years of jail if convicted. So that's that guy.
Like, who got scammed though? Who's dumber, the people that got scammed?
Yeah, like it's not a
Because,
great
like,
look because it's really obvious, right?
Yeah.
Like it's really obvious from the picture that's a YouTube, that's a iPhone charger up his nose. But yeah, man, 8 years you have to scam. Like that's a long time to commit to any bit, particularly an I have cancer bit. That's a long time to commit to a lie. Anyhow, that's not beating the people who were having a little too much fun in the RV. There are some really good jokes in the YouTube. I think I can share Winnebago with the listeners. That's really well done. It's a good story.
It is. It's so good. It was picked up here in Topeka by WWTV.
I'm leaning towards that one over the pool story.
Yeah.
I think there's genuine mental illness that could potentially be involved there. I just think these are people that were freaks.
Yeah.
And violated a rule that is a very easy one to not violate. Don't do a crime while you're doing another crime.
Yeah.
And
there's a whole back of an RV you could begin.
An entire back of an RV. If you're that much in the mood, find the nearest exit. And you don't even have to go to a rest area. Just pull off, put the hazards on, go in the back and rock the Casbah. That's all you had to do. And you might have gotten away with stealing an RV. But also, this guy was in the pool for hours, 4 hours, naked.
Yeah.
And, oh, this is hard. These are two really good stories. I'm gonna. What are you going with? What are you going with?
I think I'm going with the one that I found the
RV story.
Yeah, because it's like multiple things.
We're gonna put it to the listeners. Listeners, this is on you now. You are gonna vote on the text line 785-272-9429 or in the YouTube comments at 580 Sports Talk on YouTube. The nude pool fool or Winnebago. Your choice, your votes will decide our weekly champion on What Is Wrong With You, sponsored by State Farm agent Ryan Mo Winkle, 785-273-1572. We'll take your votes till the end of the hour. Put them in the YouTube comments, in the YouTube chat, or text them to 785-272-9429. John Kurtz joins me next. A Big 12 Media Days conversation on 580 Sports Talk. Joining us from Big 12 Football Media Days in Frisco, Texas, at the Star, formerly of KMAN in Manhattan. He is still very much in the sports media space with his YouTube page, eponymous YouTube page, John Kurtz. Open for Business, the newsletter that you can subscribe to that arrives in your email boxes, and the KC Sports Network as well, doing some podcasting for them. John Kurtz joining us here in Frisco. John, you have sort of stepped into a media space where you are something of an advocate for the Big 12 conference. And the Big 12 needs as many advocates as it can get in a college sports media space that is so often dominated by the SEC and the Big 10. In the space of the last year, how have you seen the conversation around the Big 12 as it has become a 16-team league? How have you seen the conversation around the league change? Do you think it's been a positive change, a positive direction for the perception of the Big 12 as a whole?
It's interesting, and I appreciate you having me on, Dan. The last year is an interesting time frame because I think if you go back to the beginning of the Brett Yormark era, which is obviously kind of worth like 3 years at this point, I think it's undoubtedly changed for the better since then because a lot of what you had before was very reactive leadership from Dan Beebe, even Bob Bowlesby, who I think did a better job than people give him credit for, but always a conference that was in reaction mode, never on offense. And I think Brett Yormark came in and was like, hey, we're going to play some offense on all this. And you may not agree with every decision, everything we do, but we are going to go out there and try and set our own narratives. And I think that's helped a bunch. You know, they don't get trampled over quite as much. And then they got a huge boost when you get to Four Corners and how everything worked out there. He, I think, earned a lot of credibility. Obviously, the TV deal that he secured that kind of helped them get in over the Pac-12. All that stuff, a lot of good juice that was generated for the league from that. We've come a long way since. Very easy to forget. Stuart Mandel wrote an article in July of 2021 about how the remaining Big 8 schools, the Hateful Eight, I'm going to say 8, I guess, the Hateful Eight, after Texas and Oklahoma announced that they were going to leave, we're going to generate, like, he had pegged it at like $8 or $9 million a year per school from a TV deal or something. I mean, it was like that's where we came from with all of this. So he's done a lot to move the league forward. In the last year, I just think about everything that's happened. It's like last year, the whole conversation around the playoff was about, I mean, in late November, mid-November at least, we're sitting here talking about, will Tulane or Army usurp Arizona State or whoever's going to win the Big 12 as the fifth conference champion in? Like, can the Big 12 even get in the playoff? That was a conversation for a brief, fleeting moment there for like a week or two. And that's not good. That's really frustrating. It's maddening on a bunch of different levels. And so I don't know if from a national perspective on how competitive the Big 12 can be, if the needle has moved a lot. It probably should have. Arizona State was a 4th and 13 away from beating Texas in a playoff quarterfinal, right? The SEC runner-up who lost in overtime in the SEC title game. So I don't know. It should have probably changed a little bit more than it did as far as that goes. But what I like is that Yormark really came out aggressive at the podium as always this year and was like, hey, listen, I think we're getting multiple teams in. So start the conversation there. We'll start the bidding there. You guys can hate on that if you want, but we're going to put that out there and start that here. We're ditching the preseason poll, which you guys used to weaponize against us last year, and as a part of the reason I think BYU got very little to no at-large consideration when they absolutely should have. They had an objectively better resume than Miami. So he starts by saying this is where the convo will begin for the Big 12. By the way, we're doing media days in early July, before the Big 10 goes, before the SEC goes, before anybody else. So we're going to get more coverage. We will begin that conversation, and I think that is positive. I think they're trying to make changes. You don't have to agree necessarily with getting rid of a preseason media poll, I guess, but I think it's a great decision, and it is a proactive decision to try and help the league. And I think those are the kinds of things he does that are really, really beneficial.
I am all for Brett Yormark, the fighter. Brett Yormark, the Pugliist, who's going to throw the elbows and demand a seat at the table for his conference. Is there, though, realistically a path towards that improved perception of the football brand of the Big 12 that isn't as simple as, well, get that stop on 4th and 13, Arizona State, and win that game instead of saying we were this close? Is it just as simple as somebody's from the Big 12 have to go and win the high-profile games and make a deep playoff run, and that's maybe the only realistic way to change the conversation, or are there other ways the league can go about it?
I think it will undoubtedly have to be at least a part of it. I think that has to be a part of it. And that's what sucks, man, about last year. Arizona State, like, you're right there. Yeah. You're right there. And, the targeting call, we can talk about that too. But I really wonder how different the convo would have been had that happened. I mean, that was a backbreaker. Now, what also could have happened is they could have rolled into the Ohio State game and got TCU, Georgia, and then maybe So there are caveats to this, because I was also going to say, if I'm going to argue against myself a little bit here, TCU was the last team to beat Michigan before they ripped off an undefeated national championship season in the playoff. Like, they won a playoff game.
That's just it, right? You had a Big 12 team win a playoff game, play for a national championship, and then the fact that not only they lost in such lopsided fashion gets weaponized against you. It doesn't become, well, okay, you got there and that's credibility. You lose your credibility when you lose, what was it, 65-7 or whatever it was. So
that's the problem.
It's a double-edged sword, right?
It's the LeBron James conundrum, right? Where it's like LeBron MJ battle. He gets penalized for being in the finals but losing. Whereas, well, hey, I mean, you got to the finals, but like, it's the same deal there. Like, TCU got to the championship game, but they just get lambasted by Georgia, and so that really totally changed the narrative. I think with the Big 12, the problem is you have less margin for error. So you can win a playoff game. I think that will really help. But you got to be really careful about what happens next, whereas somebody else could get more margin for error from the SEC or the Big Ten because of just the perception of those leagues. So you're walking a little bit more of a tightrope. So I think it's fair if you have some skepticism of like, hey, what is this benchmark, John? How much do you have to win? But I think if you start to, if a couple teams can do it over the next 3-4 years, I definitely think it will help. And I think you're just sort of playing this waiting game to see, hey, how much can Cody Campbell help out with a guy, Texas Tech multi-billionaire mega booster who's in the year of Donald Trump and people in Washington and could have some legitimate influence over, congressional help with where college sports is going. Let's wait it out and see what happens there. Let's see if we can have a school. Does a school like Arizona State pop up? Here's the other thing, Dan. Does a school like Arizona State pop up over the next 4 or 5 years and go multiple times and win a couple games themselves? So it's like you develop a brand that people could look at and be like, oh, okay, that's a team that I know and trust, and I think that they are good. I think that can help, too. I think the parity angle honestly works against the Big 12 when we're talking about this sort of conversation.
John Kurtz joining us from Big 12 Media Days. To build off of that, I do agree that it's important, not even just from a national perception angle. I just think it's important for the Big 12 as a whole to have a rabbit that they're chasing, to have a standard-setting program. It doesn't have to be necessarily what we've known to be a blue blood brand, because we don't have any of those in the Big 12 as it currently stands. But somebody's got to be the big dog in the league, the lead dog that everybody else is chasing, because the rising tide lifts all boats, as they say. Who in your mind is most likely to be that? Is it Tech with their petrodollars? Is it Arizona State with the first mover advantage, having won the first 16-team conference championship? Is it somebody else with a lot of want to, like a Houston, or like I know that Kansas and Kansas State are really invested in football success and have been over the years? Who is most likely to emerge, you think, in the next, let's say, 3 to 5 years as that lead dog that this conference probably needs?
It's a great question. I think if I were to power rank it, I do think you hit on right off the bat the top 2 contenders there. I would say Texas Tech and Arizona State. Maybe a little BYU also, because we're just talking about like resources and brand, and BYU's hot on the recruiting trail right now. They got Ryder Lyons committed to them, who's a 5-star quarterback who's coming in not until 27, but they also have Bear Bachmeier, who we may see this year now that Jake Retzloff is gone. That was a kid the entire SEC wanted. He went to Stanford, left very quickly, is now in Provo, and I think he's going to be the next guy. Whether it happens this year or not, we'll see. But he's your next high-profile Big 12 quarterback. So we're talking about a game that's all about resources, and there's a lot of doubt. Like Chris Kleiman said to me yesterday, I've been one saying, hey, wait and see how the House settlement stuff plays out. Theoretically, everybody will operate under sort of a salary cap, and then fair market value for anything beyond that, right? But there's a lot of skepticism as to how can you actually like adjudicate that, and can you bring the hammer down, and then will people just start going back under the table? Chris Kleiman said to me yesterday, I thought it was the best way to kind of lay it out. He's like, look, we've got schools in our league paying $50 million for a roster right now. You're telling me that next year they're going to go to paying $15 million for that roster? Like, I just don't buy it. And I'm like, okay, fair. So I think it's definitely fair to have skepticism that Texas Tech that money spigot will totally shut off. And if they can just keep buying talent like this, I think that they're as likely as anybody. And that's a hard thing for me to fight, because I'm a K-State fan. We beat Tech every year. Like that's what K-State is designed to do, is beat Texas Tech. And also, it's just been since 2009 that they've had even a 9-win regular season, which is crazy. Mike Leach was still in town. Craig James, I think that was Craig James saga. Yes. That whole deal, wild. That's how long it's been. But that's the name of the game, man, is resources. And Cody Campbell is committed. If you have any doubt about not only Cody Campbell's commitment to the Big 12, but to Texas Tech, I was laughing my butt off yesterday at Texas fans are obviously mad that Texas Tech has taken the number 1 player in the state of Texas for the class of 26. obviously with money. He's getting, the report out there was potentially a $5 million deal. So Texas fans were coming to Cody Campbell, and they were like, at Cody Campbell, it's going to take more than just one class to compete for a national championship, bud. It was Bud or Bub. I think it was Bub, actually, which feels more offensive.
Yes.
And then Cody Campbell responded and said, I'm not going anywhere, Bub. And I was like, man, this guy, like, how can you not just love this dude? So anyway, Texas Tech, I think, is going to be there. And then ASU, it's just like, I don't think they're not going to be this like place throwing a ton of cash. I think they'll be competitive. But like I heard Kenny Dillingham saying yesterday, my priority is paying my roster. I'm not going to be going out and looking for the next big thing. It's kind of a different philosophy, but we're going to take care of our own. And he did a great job with roster retention this offseason. When, like, I know for Oregon was hot after Sam Leavitt, but they kept Sam Leavitt around, right? They keep all these guys. Jordan Tyson is still there. They're going to do it a little bit different way, but Dillingham is just like, if you could design a coach perfectly for 2025 and what you have to do for this environment and with the portal open and all these kids, I think Dillingham's that guy. And then he's an Arizona State alum, so you have a much better chance, I think, of keeping him around. I would say those would be the top three, I think, to me, if I were handicapping candidates in the Big 12 to be that team.
We can get lost in the promotion of the Big 12 or the desire for the Big 12 to have a greater national recognition sometimes and miss what's in front of us, which is conference played really fun football last year, and it's going to play really fun football again this year. And the biggest reason I think that the Big 12 is going to be so much fun to watch this year, I am of the firm belief that the Big 12 is the best quarterback conference in the country. Yeah. Am I wearing the Big 12 colored glasses when I say that, or does this have an opportunity to be the best and the deepest conference of quarterbacks at the Power 4 level this year?
Did I see is Drew Aller like your consent? Was NCAA 26? Was he the best quarterback in the game? If Drew Aller is the best that we've got to offer out there, I think it is fair to say that the Big 12 is the best quarterback conference out there. No, look, there's a lot of depth. It's funny. Last year was like the year of the running back in the Big 12.
Yes.
Now all those guys have gone on, so I'm with it. Look, I'm a huge Sawyer Robertson guy. I've got Baylor in the Big 12 championship game. I've got Baylor, Arizona State as my Big 12 title game in my official Gambling Gauchos, I guess unofficial, Big 12 media poll. So I love him. I think he's an incredible talent. Obviously, Sam Leavitt. I mean, I've got all the respect in the world for him. I was in Manhattan and watched him just demolish K-State last year. So I think he's phenomenal. Avery Johnson, I think, has as much talent as about any quarterback in the country. He's got to take major steps in terms of consistency in throwing the football, but he's obviously there. I mean, Jalen Daniels at one point is your Big 12 Offensive Player of the Year, former second-team All-Big 12 quarterback. Like, I think there's a bunch of potential there for him to be great. Devin Dampier, newcomer of the year in the league. Like, that dude looks really talented. They brought in his offensive coordinator to Utah. Like, there are so many names, man, so many names in this conference that I think are phenomenal quarterbacks. Even, Josh Hoover. I'm doing the same thing to Josh Hoover that I accuse people of. It's like people sleep on Josh Hoover. The dude threw for almost 4,000 yards last year, at TCU. And then he was pursued by Tennessee. Like, you can kind of see all these schools were snooping around Big 12 quarterbacks last year. That should tell you something. Like, the SEC was snooping around a bunch of Big 12 quarterbacks. I think that is a pretty fair statement this year that the Big 12's got that on lockdown.
Last thing for you, John Kurtz. You say Baylor, Arizona State, your top two. Brett Yormark doesn't care about our opinion this year, but I care about yours.
Yeah.
I care about everyone. So I was going to ask you who your top two were. So now that I know your top two, let me then ask you this, come at it from a K-State perspective. If K-State gets to Arlington, why did they get to Arlington?
Because Avery Johnson took a major step forward. I mean, I just think so much of it rests on him. I love what K-State did in the transfer portal. I think the combination of Clint Brown, who is operating as basically your GM right now, and then Chris Kleiman calling the shots from up top. They've done sort of the Kenny Dillingham thing where it was like, we're going to take care of our own. We're going to make sure that this roster, like they kept Chase Brown around. Dylan Edwards obviously is still here. A lot of the young talent defensively on that defensive line, I think, had opportunities to go. Guys like Toby Osensami, they kept them. So I love what they've done. They've supplemented with really good. There was a lot of talk yesterday about George Fitzpatrick, the offensive tackle from Ohio State. I think they've plugged in some really nice transfers there. And defensively, they've plugged a lot of holes with transfers that I think have a lot of upside and potential. The key is going to be, if you got a great roster around it, it's all about the quarterback. And Avery Johnson, great numbers last year. I think perfectly fine season, more than fine. A good season for a quarterback in his second year in the program. Expectations probably got a little bit too high for him last year, but no doubt, man, I can call it like I see it. He was way too inconsistent. There was a lot of on fire or backbreaking stuff like piles on you like at BYU, right? So you got to find a better in between there if you're Avery Johnson, and I think that's where all this will be key. Now, I will say the optimism I have on that. He talked yesterday, and I love Connor Riley. I think he's an amazing offensive line coach. I think at times left something to be desired as offensive coordinator. And being an offensive line guy, I can see how you just wouldn't maybe connect with a quarterback as well as Matt Wells, who's now your offensive coordinator, he's been a quarterback guy. He was a quarterback coach last year. That's his background, right? He's got Jordan Love to show for what he can do as a QB coach and offensive coordinator. I think there's a chance that you see a more comfortable Avery Johnson this year because of that. A little more in sync flow to things with Matt Wells and Avery Johnson this year. So that would be my optimism for it. I've got K-State. I think I had them 4th or 5th in the Big 12. I've got them at like 9-3 this year is kind of where I'm at, which obviously a game or two here or there makes a huge difference in terms of the Big 12 title race. I think they'll be right there, but it's two things that scare me. It's Avery's consistency, and then it's, the game in Ireland. I mean, Matt Campbell has owned them lately, and I hate to say it. It pains me to say it, but Campbell's won 4 of the last 5, and the one that he lost, he had a vastly worse team in 2022, and K-State hung on by 10-9,
I think it was? Yeah.
10-9, by a fingernail in Ames to win that game because Xavier Hutchinson, who was an all-league receiver, dropped a pass that would have set up a game-winning field goal. So, I don't know, man. I don't feel good about that game in Ireland, and I think that's a tone setter for the season. Like, I think that, you lose that game, who knows? It's a pretty tricky non-con then after that. So, all that said, I'm not quite confident enough to go K-State in the Big 12 championship game, but I think they absolutely will be in the race.
John Kurtz, find him on YouTube. Just search for John Kurtz. Find him on X, JL Kurtz. Subscribe to the Open for Business newsletter. You get a lot of crap in your email box. When you want something you'll open and read,
yes.
Subscribe to the Open for Business newsletter. Get that in your email a couple of times a week. Check out the podcast as well over at the KC Sports Network. John, it's always a pleasure to catch up with you, my friend. Thanks for stopping by.
Yeah, you too. Great to see you, Dan. Thanks.
That was John Kurtz. That was our chat during Big 12 Football Media Days. Always great to catch up with an old friend. Last chance for your votes. Text line 785-272-9429. YouTube chat at 580 Sports Talk. Nude pool full or Winnebago? We'll tell you who the winner is next. Plus on second thought to wrap up the hour of 580 Sports Talk. Let's do on second thought here to wrap up this 4 o'clock hour. Spencer, you never get to go first. How about you go first today?
As I'm trying to find what I'm talking about, I can't find it at this exact moment. Oh, I found it. Okay. Back in March 26th on the show, we did our Royals predictions.
Uh-huh.
And on second thought, I don't think the Royals are going to finish 90-72.
Yeah, it's going to be
very tough to do that.
Going to be a stretch to get to 90 wins, for sure. Not mathematically impossible, but
also I had Cole Reagans as their best pitcher.
Well, you can't predict injuries.
Yeah.
Don't be too hard on yourself.
I did have Chris Bubich as breakout player.
Yes, you got that going for you, which is nice.
Yeah.
My on second thought is we talked yesterday about Maikel Garcia being an all-star snub, and today he got in. So good for Maikel Garcia. He is going to be an all-star. We'll get to more of that in headlines coming up in the next hour as he and Carlos Estevez got the call for the Midsummer Classic amid a wave of injury and player replacements for this year's All-Star game, which is coming up next Tuesday. So we'll get into that next hour in our 580 Sports Talk headlines. Also breaking Big 12 football news of interest that has come down today. A look at a busy sports weekend. That's all coming up in headlines. Also, my interview with DJ Withers, the senior defensive tackle for the Kansas Jayhawks from Big 12 Media Days, and a preview of the series between the Royals and the Mets coming up this weekend at Kauffman Stadium. Again, game one tonight, pregame at 6:30, first pitch 7:10 here on 580 WIBW and FM 104.9. Our winner this week for What Is Wrong With You by one single solitary vote, Winnebango. It is the folks who were
sneaking in at the end,
doing the nasty while driving an RV, and the RV was stolen, and they had drugs in it. Called attention to themselves in a way that was very easy to avoid having called attention to themselves. Winnebango is your weekly What Is Wrong With You winner. 5 o'clock hour next, 580 Sports Talk. Let's get it. Third and final hour of this Friday edition of 580 Sports Talk. Final hour of the day, final hour of the week here on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and in living color on our video channels, our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, our Facebook page, WIBW News. Dan Lucero, Spencer Dupuis rocking with you. We've got one more working hour this week. If you're still on the clock, thanks for hanging out with us. If you've punched out, enjoy a cold one while you listen to us. A cold whatever you like. Not on us. I'm not going to Venmo anybody beer money or soda money, but just enjoy not having to work and hang out with us here in this final hour of 580 Sports Talk. So glad to have you along. We've got a full final hour of the show today. We'll have some overtime as well. Royals baseball tonight, first of 3 against the New York Mets at interleague play at Kauffman Stadium. 6:30 pregame coverage on the Royals Baseball Network here on 580 WIBW and FM 104.9. So we will have that pregame coverage, and we'll have a 580 Sports Talk overtime conversation of the day. First pitch tonight, Michael Waka will throw it for the Royals. He'll be opposed by New York's Kodai Senga. And we'll talk a little bit more Royals baseball coming up in this hour of the program. Also in this hour, we're going to talk from Big 12 Media Days, my conversation with Kansas senior defensive tackle DJ Withers. I like talking to linemen. They're fun guys. DJ was fun to talk to as we continue our coverage from this week's Big 12 Football Media Days. DJ Withers joined me at Radio Row, and we'll bring you that interview here later on this hour on 580 Sports Talk. Want to hear from you? Text line is open, 785-272-9429. That is 785-272-9429. You can also interact with us in the chat on our YouTube stream. 580 Sports Talk's the name of the channel. There is a chat on the web browser and mobile device of your choosing. You're logged in on Google or YouTube. You can interact with us and interact with your fellow listeners. Apparently, they've started doing a thing, and our commenters have begun to notice, where you get top fan points in the live chat.
Interesting.
So I did not know that this was a thing. But you go to, like, if you go to participate in the live chat, it shows up. I know it shows up in the web browser. I'm actually going to pull it up live now. So we're going to goose the viewing numbers right now, because now I'm watching us on our YouTube channel on my phone. I don't see like the crowns or the designation on the mobile app. So I think it must just be on the web browser. But yeah, you can see like the top fans of 580 Sports Talk. I think it depends on basically how often do you comment, how often do you interact, how often do you watch. So we're not in charge of that. We have no say in who our top fans are. That's all you and the YouTube algorithm.
See, this is cool.
What, you're looking at it now?
Yeah, our shout out to Mark Holter.
Mark's our number one?
Yeah, Paul K is number 2.
Okay.
I only see 1 and 2.
So is it a daily thing? Is it an ongoing thing? Like
I have no clue. There's just little numbers. Oh,
I don't know.
Shout out MHS Driver's Ed, number 3.
Oh, yes. The Gonzo's number 3. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, because Jeffrey was asking, how do we get more top fan points? Jeffrey, I don't know, man. Listen, watch, comment. I don't know.
I have no clue.
I have no idea how that works. And we don't manipulate it. You're all our top fan. Every one of you. Who's the top fan? Well, guess what? It's you. That's right. It's you. So, but yeah, I guess that's a new thing going on in the YouTube live chat. So more incentive. If you're competitive in all things and you want to be the top fan of 580 Sports Talk, get in those comments and go kick some butt. Again.
So Jeffrey says he's number 4, but on my screen, you might be. I don't know. My screen only shows 1, 2, and 3.
I can believe. I believe.
I'll believe it. Yeah, I don't see a graphic. Shout out. We've gotten new subscribers.
Oh, that's wonderful. What are we up to?
762.
Love that. 2 new subscribers today. let's get to let's get some more. I know there's some more heroes out there who have not yet subscribed to the YouTube channel. Again, the big stretch goal that we have, we're not going to get there today, but the big stretch goal, when we get to 800, Brendan Brzezinski and I are going to arm wrestle live on camera. So that's going to be a thing that happens when we get to 800. So very excited about that. We've both been cross-training for the event, by which we mean we are both doing a lot of picking up and carrying around our respective children.
I mean, that'll help.
Oh, it doesn't hurt. I can tell you this. Go subscribe to the YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk on YouTube. If you want to see me and Brendan arm wrestle on the show sometime down the road. Do you want to get into some headlines, Spencer? Is that a thing we should do?
Yeah, we should probably do that.
I think that's the thing we should do.
You do it every day. Everybody's going to be wondering why we haven't got there yet.
Yeah, that's true. We don't want to leave the people wondering. So let's get into our 580 Sports Talk headlines, and we begin with the Kansas City Royals having doubled their number of All-Stars today. We already knew that Bobby Witt Jr. and Chris Bubich would represent the boys in blue at the All-Star game in Atlanta this coming Tuesday night. But two of the more prominent snubs heard their names called today. Some wrongs were righted on the American League roster as both Carlos Estevez and Maikel Garcia have been named American League All-Stars. This is the first career honor for the 25-year-old Garcia. Remember, he came into this year kind of a man without a position. And it shows when you look at his baseball reference log. He's played a lot of different positions this year. They hadn't played before in his career. He plays in center field and some right field, and he's played third base and second base and some shortstop when Bobby Witt Jr. gets a half day off. Witt played in every game, but he's DH'd a couple of times. When he DH'd, Maikel Garcia has been the shortstop. But Maikel very quickly hit his way into the everyday lineup. He's not a guy that can come out of the lineup now for the Royals because he's been right behind Bobby Witt Jr. as this team's best hitter. In 92 games, Garcia leads the Royals with a .305 batting average and a .363 on-base percentage. He also carries a .464 slugging percentage for an .827 OPS on-base plus slugging. That's second best on the team behind Bobby Witt Jr. Garcia's 24 doubles are tied for second on the team. His 3 triples are tied for second on the team. He's also banged out 8 home runs and driven in 40 runs and stolen 18 bases. He's been worth 2.6 wins above replacement, according to Baseball Reference, and he is a well-deserved first-time All-Star, the 25-year-old Maikel Garcia. And to have done it in a year where he went into opening day not knowing where he was going to play or how often he was going to play. And you know what they say, and this is true in every level of sports, force them to put you in the lineup and be so good they can't keep you out. And that's what Maikel Garcia has done this year. It's been a great story in this Royals season. Carlos Estevez, the 32-year-old right-handed reliever for the Royals, is making his second All-Star appearance. He was previously an All-Star in 2023 with the Los Angeles Angels. So far this year, Estevez in 39 games has saved 25 of his 27 save chances. That 25 save number tied for the American League lead with Houston's Josh Hader and 2 behind San Diego's Robert Suarez for the Major League lead. In 40 innings pitched, Estevez has accumulated a 2.03 on average, 33 strikeouts to just 14 walks in those 40 innings, and he's only allowed 3 home runs. He has been every bit the steady presence the Royals hoped he would be at the back of their bullpen when he signed a 2-year contract this offseason. And speaking on a personal level for Carlos Estevez, he's a guy I've always liked. Many of you know he broke in as a Colorado Rocky back in 2016. I was a fan of his right away. Real likable kid. God, he was just a baby coming out. I think he still had braces when he made his major league debut. He had the braces going. Just a kid at 23, and made his major league debut and got some save opportunities for the 2016 Rockies. Kind of up and down with Colorado from 2016 to 2022. Hard place to pitch. And since leaving, he has pitched in 3 major league seasons, 2.5 since leaving the Rockies, and he's been an All-Star in 2 of those 3 seasons, which I think tells you a lot of things about a lot of organizations, not all of them flattering, and it tells you something about Carlos Estevez. Quality, reliable reliever, not a superstar reliever, not like a Mariano Rivera or anything like that, but you're always happy to see Carlos has come to the game because he throws strikes and he gets the job done. And now he's an all-star. That's really cool. Estevez is replacing Jacob deGrom of the Texas Rangers. deGrom opting out of the All-Star game. He pitches tomorrow for the Rangers. Garcia is into the game because Tampa Bay's Brandon Lau, who I think was an injury replacement himself, he got hurt. And he went on the injured list today, creating an opportunity for Maikel Garcia to be named an All-Star. There are a lot of other All-Star replacements that have been announced today, many of them in the American League. 3 different pitchers are opting out of the All-Star game due to pitching this weekend. New York's Max Fried, Boston's Derrick Crochet, and Los Angeles' Yusei Kikuchi will not pitch in the All-Star game. They are being replaced by the Yankees' Carlos Rodon, Tigers' Casey Mize. That's 6 All-Stars now for Detroit. And Tampa Bay's Drew Rasmussen replacing Kikuchi. Seattle Mariners center fielder Julio Rodriguez is opting out of the game as well, citing a desire to rest and recover from a nagging injury. Rodriguez hasn't really been that good this year. I was kind of surprised the players named him an all-star.
Yeah.
Like, players know who's good, and Julio Rodriguez objectively a good player, but I didn't think he had performed to an all-star level. But he was named an all-star. He will sit the game out. His teammate in Seattle, Randy Arozarena, will replace him. There's one National League change as well. Philadelphia's Zach Wheeler, arguably the best pitcher in the NL this year. He's pitching tomorrow, so you won't see him in the All-Star game. Instead, you will see San Diego reliever Adrian Morejon, the 3rd member of the Padres bullpen to be named an All-Star this season. I mentioned Robert Suarez leads the league in saves. Jason Adams from Kansas City area. He's also an All-Star for that San Diego bullpen. So, there you go. Can't tell the players, can't tell the All-Stars without a very long scorecard. That's our first headline. Spencer, what do you got?
Yes. The NFL during the summer, as they count down till the start of the season, the NFL loves to do their little top 100 players of the, I guess it's technically 2025 after the 2024 season, voted on by the players themselves, so your colleagues essentially. And last week, I believe it was announced that Creed Humphrey was number 93, or he was not ranked last year, I believe first time on the list. And today, we were given numbers 89 to 100, or excuse me, we were given numbers 90 to 81. And the 81st best player in the NFL from last year, according to his peers, is Trent McDuffie, making the first time in his career makes the top 100. Joked with Matt Derrick earlier that it took him 2 interceptions to finally get recognized.
Yeah,
for how good he is.
Because he didn't make the top 100 last year after being a first-team All-Pro.
Yeah.
Go figure that. Like, on the one hand, I think this is entirely a player poll, right?
Yeah.
So
it's literally a colleague voted award.
And I know that I'm going to contradict myself in the thing I literally just said when talking about the Major League All-Star game when I say, players know who's good. I think in football, it is a lot more, well, it's always subjective, right? But it's even more subjective when you talk about things like positional value and like what's more valuable, a top flight cornerback or a top flight wide receiver. Like, you can argue either way there. So when players make their lists, a lot of times you get that difference of opinion. You might have a wide receiver put a whole bunch of wide receivers on his list. You might have a guy put like 20 different quarterbacks in the top 100. So it's a lot of inconsistency. Also, there are a lot of players in the 52-man roster, 32 teams. You do the math on that.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of players. Narrow that down to 100. Sometimes you get a real egregious snub like McDuffie last. But, yeah, glad to see him get recognized. I believe that's 2 Chiefs now so far in the top 100. Creed Humphrey was what, 95th?
93.
93. Okay, yeah. Which again, that feels low for the best center in football. Like, he's the best at his position.
Well, how many more centers will be on the list?
Well, Frank Ragnow retired, so
that's true.
You shouldn't listen. If Creed Humphrey's at 93, there shouldn't be another center in the top 100.
Yeah.
But like, again, what's more valuable, being the best center or being like the 15th best wide receiver? Like, what's more valuable? I don't know the answer to that. I think 10 different people could make 10 different arguments. So It's a list that I don't think always gets it right. In fact, a lot of times I think it gets it wrong when it comes to who's number one. The best player in the NFL is Patrick Mahomes. And don't try to tell me anybody else is. He's the best player in the NFL. But he's not going to be number one this year, it sounds like. He hasn't been number one previous years. He has taken that personally before. We know that. We remember I forget who they were playing, but it was a Sunday night football game. And he showed off the fingers, 1, 2, 3, 4. And said, that's how many players you think are better than me? That's how many players you think are better than me? So we know he'll internalize it. He'll use it as motivation. He's got a lot of motivation these days. Patrick Mahomes. Here he's fat.
Oh, that's a whole thing, right?
That's the whole thing. We had somebody mention that in our YouTube comments yesterday. I don't even think that Kevin Keithman at this point in his career is worth dignifying at this stage. We don't usually talk about what podcasts have to say. And I don't give a lot of weight to podcasters. But that's he said he's fat. Look, Patrick Mahomes has 3 kids, so I'm not worried about him not being in shape. Number 2, it's his offseason. We know one thing about Patrick Mahomes is that the man enjoys his domestic use.
Yeah.
He big Coors Light guy, Patrick Mahomes. Let him live, man. Let him live, because he's never been like. I don't need him to show up looking like Diesel. I don't need him. I don't need him to show up looking like who was you remember David Boston, or the wide receiver?
Yeah,
obviously that was steroid. You remember what he looked like? He looked like a donut. He looked like a bodybuilder. It was steroid.
Like Laron Landry.
Yes,
steroid.
Yes, I don't need Patrick Mahomes looking like that. I don't. I think I have watched his tape, and I am less than concerned with what it looks like when he takes the shirt off.
Exactly.
I could not be any less concerned about that. So that's all I got to say about all of that. Anyhow, be interested to see where he ranks this year, because it doesn't sound like it's going to be number 1, which, again, wrong, but it is what it is. Next headline for me, it is confirmation of something that had been previously reported. And although Kalani Sitake played coy about it at Big 12 Media Days, this was the expected outcome. Quarterback Jake Retzlaff is withdrawing from school at BYU. Pete Thamel had the story first from ESPN. He still plans on transferring and is expected to take a transfer path that does not involve the NCAA transfer portal. He plans to simply enroll at the school. Retzlaff put out a statement on his social media earlier today. Quote, after a lot of prayer, reflection, and conversations with those I trust, I've made the difficult decision to officially withdraw from BYU and step away from the BYU football program. BYU has meant more to me than just football. It's been a place of growth, spiritually, mentally, and physically. I'm grateful for any teammate, coach, staff member, and fan who supported me along the way. The relationships and memories I've made in Provo will always be a part of me. That said, I'm excited to turn the page and embrace the next chapter. My journey is far from over, and I'm more motivated than ever to keep chasing my goals. Jake Retzlaff, a.k.a. BYU. That's how he signed his statement. So I talked earlier today about Bill Connolly's Big 12 football preview, and his numbers project BYU as the 4th best team in the Big 12, according to SP+. And he writes in his article, because obviously this morning when this came out, we did not know what the ultimate result of the Retzlaff situation was going to be. But Connolly writes, his future with the team remains uncertain at the moment, but without him, BYU's ranking nationally would fall from 27th to about 32nd, and the average win total would be cut by about half a game. That's not as much of a drop as I expected, honestly, writes Connolly, but keep it in mind. So BYU has enough guys to give a look in the quarterback room with like real pedigree and some experience. They can make it shake. Like Bear Bachmeier was a big deal recruit when he ended up at Stanford, and now he's transferred to BYU. McKay Hillstead has played college football. He played at Utah State. Trayson Bourget, I think it is, played at Western Michigan. So these are all guys who have played, or Bachmeier's got the pedigree. I think they'll find something. Do I think it's as likely to be as productive as Retzlaff last year? No, for a lot of reasons. But it's a hit for BYU, but just don't be surprised if it's not as big a hit as maybe you would have anticipated. All right, next headline, Spencer.
Yes, let's go down here from what's the official name of this golf tournament?
The American Century.
The American Century Tournament in Lake Tahoe. Charles Barkley is the longest shot to win the celebrity golf tournament. 7,500 to 1 at Caesars Sportsbook.
He's not going to golf.
No.
The sector. So I have the pairings in front of me, the celebrity pairings for the American Century Championship. Patrick Mahomes, interestingly, not playing this year. I don't know if
he's there. I thought I saw a video.
He may be there, but he's not playing. He has played with Kelsey in the past. This year, Travis Kelsey is playing with his brother, Jason, and with Andrew Whitworth, another former offensive lineman. That would be a fun one to be the fourth.
Oh, yeah.
That might be the one I want to be the fourth. Pull up the list so you can look along with me. But yeah, Mahomes isn't playing. I guess maybe he heard he was fat and hurt his feelings. He's like, well, I guess I can't be playing golf. I gotta go get some abs. Anyway, Charles Barkley is playing in a group with Larry the Cable Guy and Nate Bargatze. Number one, also would be a fun group to be the fourth.
Yeah.
Number two, Larry the Cable Guy is used to being the least funny guy in every group he's in. Shout out to the White Collar Comedy Tour when he was definitely the least funny guy on that. So he's the least funny guy in that group too. So he's got that. I'm not like shading Larry the Cable Guy that hard. Like I think Chuckster and Nate Bargatze are funnier.
Yeah,
it's just personal preference. But I'm giving Larry the Cable Guy a hard time because he's a Nebraska fan. Anyway, some of the other group, the one that looks like it would be hell to be a part of. Aaron Rodgers, AJ Hawk, and Rob Mack from It's Always Sunny. No thanks. No thanks. Those guys walk up and say, "Hey, we could use a fourth." I said, "Yeah, I'm gonna go to the range. You guys go ahead. I gotta get back to the range." Other groups include, this is a funny one. The first group off this morning: Carson Daly, Colin Jost of Saturday Night Live, and Roger Clemens.
Yeah.
All right.
I also think this one is very. I mean, you got three players representing three different sports. I don't know if they know each other. Very weird. Former Chief Justin Reed, former Philly great Jimmy Rollins, and former Capital / American Savior TJ Oshie.
That's the group you'd want to be.
Yeah,
you was a big TJ Oshie guy,
but it's definitely an interesting pairing. Three of them, three separate sports.
Yeah, that is that's odd. Alex Caruso, NBA champion, is third wheeling it with Devontae Adams and Derrick Carr in a group. That's kind of funny.
Yeah.
You've got an group of NBA Hall of Famers: Vince Carter, Grant Hill, Ray Allen. You've got the
Curry family.
You've got the Curry family all in it. Seth Dell and Steph are all playing together. I love the Brian Baumgartner, Evan from The Office, with Rob Riggle and Ray Romano. I bet that'd be a hoot. I don't know how good those guys are at golf, but hey, if they need a fourth, yeah, I'm in. There are some Marty Fish, Jake Owen, and Joe Pavelski are a group. Marty Fish is legitimately awesome. Like he'll probably win this thing or come close. He's the guys who are like the legitimately good celebrity golfers, like Mark Holder, the former major league pitcher. He's really good. He's playing with John Smoltz and Annika Sorenstam. So of these groups, we're looking at all the groups. We won't read all 30 of them. That's not good radio. But give me the group you would want to be the fourth.
Would or wouldn't?
Would.
I
already told you which one I wouldn't want to be the fourth.
I think Brian Baumgartner, Rob Riggle, and Ray Romano.
You want to be the fourth of those guys?
Yeah, I just want to bask in everything that they say.
Oh yeah, just
like how funny everything is going to come out of their mouth.
I'm either going with the quarterback group: Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, Josh Allen, because I bet those guys are just making fun of each other the entire time.
Oh yeah.
Darnold and Allen are like good buddies.
Yeah.
And or the Kelce's and Andrew.
That'd be a good one.
That would be a really good group to.
I think an interesting group also: Miles Teller, Trevor Lawrence, and Matthew Kachuk.
Huh. That would be an interesting one. Yeah, for sure. Anyway, yeah, the American Century Championship going on this weekend. No Mahomes, but Travis Kelce's a part of it. Real quick, here's what else is going on this weekend, because there's a lot going on this weekend. Tomorrow night, the Futures game, the Major League Baseball Futures game. The Royals have 2 participants, Carter Jensen and Frank Mazzicato, playing for the American League team. They'll be on MLB Network tomorrow afternoon. Sunday night, rounds 1 through 3, Major League Baseball entry draft. The Royals have 23rd overall pick. ESPN's final mock draft has them picking a name you might have heard. Arkansas pitcher Gage Wood, last team throwing a no-hitter with 19 strikeouts in the College World Series. That'd be a nice pick at number 23 overall. Royals also have the 28th overall pick and 2 others in the top 75. So they'll be busy on the first night of the entry draft on Sunday night. PGA Tours at the Renaissance Club in Scotland for the Scottish Open. Tune up for the British Open, the final major of the year, next week. For road course racing for the NASCAR Cup Series, they're at Sonoma. And SVG keep dominating the road courses. He's won at both of the road races so far. Shane Van Gisbergen has won at both of the road courses so far. Can he make it 3 for 3 this weekend? The Wimbledon finals are this weekend. Tomorrow, the women's final, Iga Swiatek, shooting for her first Wimbledon title and 6th major crown, facing off against the Cinderella of the tournament, American Amanda Anisimova. She's playing in her first ever major final. Sunday, we get a rematch of the French Open final from earlier this year. Carlos Alcaraz and Yannick Sinner. Alcaraz is going for his 3rd Wimbledon title in a row and his 6th major. Sinner is a 3-time major winner, playing in his first Wimbledon final. He took Novak Djokovic apart in sections today. And we're going to be seeing a lot more Alcaraz-Sinner finals in these tennis majors. Like, I'm not a big tennis guy, but if it's on, I can very easily get drawn into highlights.
I think it's crazy
it's
how
very captivating.
It is, and then it's crazy how you used to have one guy at the top for a 5 to 10 year segment, and then the next guy comes along, and he's even better than that guy.
It really, in men's tennis, it's been 3 guys. It was 3 guys for 15 years, and one of them is still kicking around, but obviously he can't get past the young guns any longer. So, it should be really great tennis at Wimbledon Saturday and Sunday. And also in soccer, the FIFA Club World Cup wraps up at MetLife Stadium on Sunday. Chelsea from the English Premier League taking on Paris Saint-Germain, the UEFA Champions League winners from the French.
Did you see that they did at MetLife Stadium, there is a trophy thing in the middle of the state, in the middle of the seating?
I did not see that. But yeah, that's a very soccer thing, is they do a trophy presentation in the stand.
It looks weird.
Yeah, they that is
at least in MetLife.
If you've watched an FA Cup or a League Cup in England, they do have a trophy presentation that is in the stand. They present it among the people, so to speak. So anyway, that's a very European flourish. That's our 580 Sports Talk headlines. When we come back, my chat with DJ Withers of the Kansas Jayhawks from Big 12 Football Media Days here on 580 Sports Talk. 5:36 on 580 Sports Talk on this Friday. Our coverage from Big 12 Football Media Days continues. Another player interview to bring you. I spoke with Kansas senior defensive tackle DJ Withers. Here's what the big man had to say in Frisco when I spoke to him on Wednesday. Joined now at Big 12 Football Media Days at the Star in Frisco, Texas, by senior defensive tackle for the Kansas Jayhawks, DJ Withers. DJ, how was your summer? Did you enjoy your summer?
Yeah, I had a great summer. Yeah.
What'd you get up to? What'd you when you got a chance to get away from football for a little bit? What'd you get up to?
Recently, I just got back from a trip from Washington, D.C. So,
oh, wow.
It was a great experience. It was great out there. Got to be out there for the 4th of July. So,
oh, wow. First time ever there?
Yeah.
What'd you do, like the monuments, museums, all that stuff?
All that good stuff. Everything you could do. Yeah.
What was the coolest thing that you saw while you were out there?
Probably the monument. That's my favorite thing out there. Yeah, going out there. I would road bikes around the city. It was fun.
Oh, real cool. Cool. Now it's getting back to business this season, and you've got lots of experience under your belt, solid season last year. And I want to start by talking about your teammates on the defensive line. We were talking to Dean Miller earlier. Mm-hmm. Tommy Dunn's back next to you. Yeah. There's some really talented guys on the edge that are either newcomers or really looking to make the most of a new opportunity. What do you notice about this defensive line group this year?
I've noticed we're a very close group. That's the big thing with us here. We're super close. We all know what we want to do. We all got the same goals. So I think we're going to be real special this year.
For yourself, what were the things that you were the most focused on as far as making yourself the best football player you could be for your senior season?
Probably just my pass rush, like finishing on my pass rush moves and just getting off the ball. That's been the biggest thing, just getting off the ball quicker than the other side, and you're going to win most of the time.
Talking to Dean Miller about this, obviously pass rush important in every game, but I think in this league it might be at a premium in the sense of there's so many good quarterbacks in this league. Yeah. When you do the film study, you're playing a really good quarterback like every single week. Yeah. So how important is that? Because interior pass rush, that's what really busts pipes.
Yeah.
So you know how important it is to be able to drive into the pocket from the interior. Yeah. Is it a move thing? Is it a strength thing? What are the things that you really want to refine as far as your abilities to rush the passer?
Oh, definitely always just moves. Moves, of course. I'm more of a movement guy. But also just effort and being relentless, especially in the interior, because you're going to get double teamed a lot. So if you have a lot of effort, that's where you're going to get most of your sacks from in the interior. Just getting in the quarterback's way, even if you don't get the sack, just having a hand in the quarterback's face, just disrupting them. That interior pressure is something a little different than the exterior.
DJ Withers is our guest, senior defensive tackle for the Kansas Jayhawks, joining us from Big 12 Football Media Days. Lost a lot of seniors from last year's team, which means you lost a lot of veterans, a lot of leadership on the defensive side of the ball, especially behind you guys in the back seven. You had some vets, linebacker, obviously a big glut of veterans in the defensive backfield. Who are the guys this year that you feel like are really emerging as your leaders on that side of the ball? The guys who are going to be the vocal leaders, the guys that you really rally around this year, and who are the playmakers for you?
Well, the playmakers, we have a lot of guys, a lot of transfers that we've seen. We got like Bengali Kamara coming in. We got Lyric Rawls at safety. There's a few of those two guys right there. Been two guys that stuck out to me in the spring that was playing super well. And just some of the guys that can help lead us besides some of the veterans that's been there like me, Tommy Dunn, Dean Miller that's already doing that. Also, just distinctly on the D-line is going to help us out a lot too. So.
Talk to me about Lyric Rawls, because obviously the defensive backfield last year, you had veteran guys who put up numbers, guys who were all conference, your Kobe Bryant's, Mello Dodson's, Marvin Grant, guys like that. Mm-hmm. So people might be looking at the secondary thinking, man, they lost a lot back there, but there's some experience coming in, and Lyric Rawls is going to take over that free safety role. What kind of player is he? What are we going to see from him?
No, he's a great player, good downhill player. He can come downhill. I seen him get a few balls out the air too. So he's going to be a good all-around safety.
We're talking to DJ Withers from Big 12 Football Media Day here on 580 Sports Talk. DJ, Jalen Daniels back for one more year of college football and gets this opportunity to play and come out there and try to have another healthy season, put it all together. Because we've seen him be great. We've seen some highs. We've seen some difficult periods, the injuries, obviously, that laid him low. What can we expect from Jalen Daniels this year? What do you see from him on a day-to-day basis that suggests that he can get back and be that consistently outstanding quarterback that he has been before?
I just see a whole new person from JD. Like he's been this offseason it's just been totally different, just from a leadership role, just taking over the team. So I expect nothing but greatness from him this year. I think he's gonna have a great year and be able to go on and play at the next level.
Is there a little bit more juice to the skill guys this season? And with, again, no disrespect, Devin Neal's one of the all-time greats at KU, and there was an outstanding receiver class that graduated last year. But you got some new guys at wide receiver this season, and what I'm hearing is speed. What I'm hearing is explosion from the offense this year. Is that accurate?
Oh, that's very accurate with the new guy like Emmanuel Henderson. Just E-Man coming in, like I ain't seen nobody run like that in a minute. He can move. He can really move. So just having that kind of speed on the offense is going to open it up for sure. Be able to take it off the top.
We're talking to DJ Withers of the Kansas Jayhawks here on 580 Sports Talk. I want to pull at this thread from your KU Athletics bio. The question is, what is one thing that someone wouldn't know about you? And the answer is, I'm the best Madden NCAA player on the team. I want to start with the NCAA thing because it came back last year for the first time in 11 years, and nobody's more excited than, other than the players that were in the game, dudes like me in their late 30s who spent their college years playing that game and really missed it for a long time. So how much fun was that to have that game, to get to play as yourself in a video game? What was that like? Describe that to me.
Crazy. Like, that's something you grow up. It's a dream as a kid to be able to play as in the video game. So just being inside of a video game, because growing up, that's all I used to do, play game. So just being the guy can go on and say, oh, DJ Withers on there, it's crazy every time.
So when you're running your teammates off the sticks, which is your claim here, what team are you playing as? And if you can't use your own team, your own self, who are you running with?
If I can't use Kansas, I mean, most of the time we just use random teams.
So
it's whoever we pick, whoever we can get out the way. We do 3 randoms and whoever the best option is.
Is there a playbook that you find yourself going back to that you really kind of enjoy?
Playbook. I forgot whose team. It was one team playbook I used a lot. I like Texas playbook. Texas has a great playbook.
Yeah, a lot of like orbit motion.
Yeah, a whole lot of motion. Texas and Georgia probably they have a lot of motion in their playbook. I like that.
How about Madden? Who do you run with on Madden?
Madden, the Seahawks. That's my favorite team.
Okay.
Big Seahawks fan.
Hey, I am too. I'm a big Seahawks fan.
Hey,
my uncle was their offensive line coach in the late 90s, early 2000s. Coach Walter Jones, Steve Hutchinson, a couple of Hall of Famers. So, I've been a Seahawks fan for a long time. What do you think of them this year? They overhauled the offense.
They did overhaul the offense. It's a little scary, but I hope we turn it around this year.
Nasty on defense.
Nasty on defense. Defense looks very good.
Absolutely. Talking to DJ Withers here from Big 12 Football Media Days. You're back to the booth this year. How excited are you and your teammates to be able to play on campus again this season?
Oh, yeah, we're so excited. So excited. Just playing at Arrowhead. It was cool playing at Arrowhead, also at Children's Mercy, but it just didn't feel like home. Couldn't really pack it out like we wanted to.
Sure.
But this upcoming year in the booth is going to be crazy.
It's a big game on the schedule, week 3 at Mizzou. That's the rivalry for the University of Kansas. What do you hear from people around the program about the importance of that game and what that atmosphere, that road atmosphere is going to be like in Columbia?
It's just we're hearing a lot more the importance of the rivalry. We haven't played them before, of course, since I've been in college. So it's a big thing. I heard it's bigger than K-State. I didn't know it was bigger than the K-State rivalry till recently. So I can't wait to play in that game.
It is.
Yeah, I did not know that recently. I was like, okay, this is a whole different level. So I'm gonna take it as that when we go there and play.
Absolutely, you guys hit the ground running. Week 0 home game, Fresno State. What do you feel like the level of readiness is right here, July 9th, to go? Do you feel confident in the defense, the new defensive coordinator? You feel confident in your teammates? Like, what's your level of confidence right now?
I feel so confident in my team right now. I think we can go at it right now. We have to play Fresno State right now. We'll be ready to go. I think every week, I think we're ready. But, of course, everybody needs a little bit more preparation. But I think we're ready to attack you for sure.
We are excited to watch you on the gridiron this coming season. DJ Withers, senior defensive tackle for the Kansas Jayhawks, joining us for Big 12 Football Media Days here in Frisco, Texas. DJ, a real pleasure. Best of luck this senior season here in 2025.
Thank you.
That was DJ Withers. What a voice. The YouTube comments all talking about how what a wonderful voice that young man.
He could be a promo guy here.
I would let him narrate. Like, I want him to narrate a day in the life. That's what I want. I need him to narrate. He got a little bit of James Earl Jones to him.
Yeah.
Jeffrey in the YouTube he sounds like Barry White. Great deep voice for DJ Withers. Good player. Really came on late last season, and KU's going to need some pass rush juice this season, and I think he's got the goods to provide it from the interior. So enjoy that chat with DJ Withers, and maybe want to play him in the new college football video game too. He's as good as he says he is. We'll take a break, come back. We'll take a little Royals baseball as we get close to wrapping up here on 580 Sports Talk. Round and third, heading for home on this edition of 580 Sports Talk. Dan and Spencer hanging out with you. Royals baseball coming your way this weekend here on 580 WIBW, FM 104.9. The Royals and the Mets, some interleague play at the K. First pitch tonight, 7:10. Pre-game coverage at 6:30. First pitch time, 3:10 tomorrow. And then a 1:10 first pitch on Sunday heading into the All-Star break. Your pitching matchups, Michael Wacha goes for the Royals tonight against Kodai Senga, who's had a really nice year, a 1.47 ERA for Senga in 13 starts for the Mets. Your Saturday pitching matchup, Frankie Montas will go for the Mets, making just his fourth start of the season. Royals will counter with Michael Lorenzen. Then it's Noah Cameron coming off the longest outing of his career on Sunday for KC. TBA getting the ball for the Mets in now.
Is it going to be a bullpen game?
Not sure, to be completely honest with you. I know it won't be David Peterson because he's going to the All-Star game.
Yeah.
So he's not going to pitch this weekend. I'm not 100% sure. They've tried some bullpen games with pretty limited success. I think that might be the route they go. They've already used 36 pitchers this season.
What?
36 pitchers. Two of them are position guys, Travis Jankowski and Jared Young. They don't really count.
Yeah.
But yeah, all the rest of these guys, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, all the other guys are pitchers. So yeah, 36 different guys to pitch for the Mets this year. I think that number for the Royals, I wouldn't be surprised if it's like half that. I'm going to go look, actually. Royals have used 20 pitchers.
Yeah.
So yeah, close. Mets are in a funk. And they've been in a funk now for going on about a month. They are 8-17 in their last 25 games after they stampeded out of the gates and were 45-24. The bats have faltered. They're hitting just 232 in that 25-game stretch with a 681 OPS. They're top of the lineup, really, really good. Juan Soto should have been an all-star. Pete Alonso's a stud. Charlie Marte's having a nice year. Brandon Nimmo's good. Francisco Lindor, obviously, an all-timer and a Royal killer. But it's the floor, it's the bottom part of the lineup. It's the other guys that have really struggled for the Mets to keep up, and they have not gotten great production. Gee, that sounds awfully familiar. The team hasn't gotten production from the lower part of their order. The Royals, for their part, they've been hot in July. They've homered 14 times in 9 July games, carrying a team OPS in that stretch of 786. And yes, that's just 9 games, but it's the best stretch of hitting we've seen from the Royals this season. A 786 team OPS for an entire season would be the second best in all of baseball. So the bats are going. They've got a tough assignment tonight against Senga, no doubt about it. But keeping struggling teams struggling. It's a hallmark of good teams. It was a hallmark of the Royals last year. It's been what they've done here in July. A reeling Diamondbacks team. They beat them 2 of 3 on the road. A Pirates team that can't win on the road. The Royals made sure they didn't win at Kauffman Stadium. Now you got to keep the Mets struggling here this weekend. A Royals sweep would get them above 500 at the break. Even just the series win gets them to 48-14, and I'd really like that position for the Royals if they can get in with a series win to the All-Star break. We'll take one final break of our own before the final word here on this Friday edition of 580 Sports Talk. Time for a final word here on 580 Sports Talk. Spencer Dupuis, give us what you got.
Yeah, yesterday I went on for my final word, and I said that Miguel Garcia was going to use being an all-star snub to get him through the second half and have an even better second half. Well, he has now made the all-star game. We talked about that throughout the day. He was asked earlier, I guess, at his locker prior to tonight's game about going to the all-star game. He said, quote, "I still can't believe it. You know, you work hard for that, being an all-star, playing with the best players in the league, and I'm so proud of myself." I think that is what's going to take him into a better second half, is the fact that he did. It might have took a couple people bowing out, but he's an all-star, and it doesn't matter because that is going to go on his player card that he was a 2025 MLB All-Star. And he well-deserved.
Yes, absolutely well-deserved. Final word for me today. We brought you some great content from Big 12 Media Days this week, being live there Tuesday, Wednesday, more interviews the last 2 days. And there's more where that came from. We still have some more interviews to bring you next week on 580 Sports Talk. A few more players that you'll get a chance to hear from. Cody Stufflebean and BJ Payne of the Kansas State Wildcats, Dean Miller of the Kansas Jayhawks. We're going to bring you those interviews next week. You can check out all the interviews we've done, obviously on our podcast page, obviously in the YouTube archive, also on our website, 580wibw.com. I think that we can get lost in the idea of the Big 12 needing to create a better national perception. And I do think it's true, and I think it would benefit the league if it were to have a program emerge as a threat to win multiple playoff games and play for and maybe win a national championship. I don't know that that program is there this year, but down the road, certainly the Big 12 could use that to get itself in more favorable conversations with the SEC and the Big Ten. I know Brett Yormark and everybody around the conference is fighting for the league, but do not miss the forest. Do not miss that long-term aspiration for the Big 12. Do not miss the forest for the trees, because every Big 12 game is going to rock this year because there aren't any dregs. There's a very real chance there aren't any dregs this year. Everybody's a varying level of respectable, and the good teams should be really, really good. And there's lots of good quarterbacks. Big 12 is going to rule. That'll do it for us. Overtime's next. For Spencer, I'm Dan. This is 580 Sports Talk. Good night.